Everybody's ready. Let's give it up let's give it up for the White Wall Sessions. Let's give it up for Last Up for hosting this event, you guys. Let's give them a big round of applause. All right, for those of you guys who don't know, my name is Charlie Eccles. I am the resident professional wrestling commentator in the Midwest. I actually am the commentator for Midwest All Pro Wrestling here in Sioux Falls. I am the lead commentator for Magnum Pro Professional Wrestling down in Omaha, Nebraska. I am also the director of SiouxperCon here in Sioux Falls. Hey-o. So I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about that a little bit later, but I do appreciate everybody stopping in. You guys can follow all of my social media. I'm at Wrestling Voice #1. So that's the numeric one. Instagram and Twitter. Not so much on Facebook anymore. Anybody else not kind of made the jump to other social medias?
Just you.
Just me?
Yeah. We're still pretty Facebook heavy.
Pretty Facebook heavy? Okay. I'm trying to make the jump to TikTok. I hear the kids are real into it.
That's where the kids are.
Yeah. I
TikTok
don't know
is
what
a beautiful thing.
TikTok's a beautiful thing?
Beautiful thing.
Oh, I'm in. I'm 100% in on TikTok. We will have that by the end of the night because Cory told me it's awesome. So, but that is enough about me. What we are doing today, we are here with 3 local podcasts that count down movies, talking about movies here tonight. We are going to collectively come up with the top 20 movies of the decade, this last decade, the 2010s. And we'll get into introducing everybody here in just a moment. But tonight, we do want to welcome Katrina Eady from the JY6 Foundation. And Katrina, we're going to give you a few minutes to talk about the JY6 Foundation. We'll let you come on up. Yeah, come on.
Do I get to sit in this chair?
You do.
Ooh.
You do.
If I can get up here.
I have the same trouble.
Thanks for having me. Backlot 605. You want me just to dive in?
You dive right in.
Yeah.
So I'm Katrina Eady, like Charlie said, and my older brother and I formed the JY6 Foundation, or the Jorgen Eady Foundation, in honor of our younger brother who passed away at age 16 from leukemia. And one of his dying wishes was that we start a foundation that gives back to local charities that helped our little brother during his battle with cancer. And so we formed the JY6 Foundation, and we host a couple events every year that raises money for pediatric cancer and leukemia research. And we met Charlie and Casey and a couple other of the guys here through SiouxperCon, and they've been so generous to partner with us and give towards our efforts. And so happy to be here today. And anything else you want to know?
We want to know everything about JY6.
Okay. So like I said, it was formed in honor of my younger brother, Jorgen. So he was, like I said, 15 when he was diagnosed with cancer, and 11 months later passed away. And so the last 9 years, we've been able to raise well over $500,000 and give back to other charities. Which has been really special to do something in his name and really take a really devastating experience for our family, but turn it into something that we're able to meet so many amazing people throughout the community and also help those who are struggling with the devastating disease of cancer.
Awesome. And we can take donations if they want here today, or that website or anything that you want to plug on that?
Yeah. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, JY6 Foundation. We do have a website, www.jy6foundation.org. I do have some literature and my business cards here, so I'd be happy to talk to any of you guys about it and tell you a little bit more information about what we all do. But also, you could feel free to take some of that too if you'd like to check out our website and see all the things that we've been up to and what we have coming up as well.
And you and I walked in together. It was really cool to hear you talk about your brother.
Yeah.
And how much Last Stop meant to him and everything like that. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
Just kind of
Yeah.
relativity of that. So
I was telling Charlie that Jorgen was a huge Last Stop fan, so this is absolutely perfect. And I know that he would just love this stuff. He'd be sitting front and center and probably heckling you guys.
I was gonna say, just yelling at us.
Yeah. So he was quite the character. Really an old soul. He loved like 80s rock and movies, and so this is right up his alley, and it just would have been awesome for him to be here. But I think that just makes it all the more special. So when Casey came to us and was telling us about it, I said that fits that he'd be loving it. So yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me and letting me talk a little bit about it. And I mean, I could talk all day. It just depends what you all want to know. So
yeah. Well, I would say anybody who wants to talk to Katrina in a professional setting. Anybody who wants to talk to her after, make sure to grab some of that literature. It's a great foundation. I've firsthand seen a lot of the work that they've done. Had actually some personal friends who benefited from your guys' work, and I would really recommend checking out their website and giving the good word on this. So yeah,
absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, back into the chair now. All right, so what are we doing here tonight? Tonight we are, or this afternoon, I should say. Tonight, I'm so used to saying tonight, I'm so sorry. This is my pro wrestling coming out of me. Nobody does a day show except for Midwest All Pro right now. But anyway, today we are going to be counting down the top 20 movies of the 2010s. How this is going to work is that earlier today, these guys actually drew numbers 1 through 5. So we are going to start with the person who drew number 1. Number 1 will get to pick the number 20 pick. Number 2 will get to pick the number 19, and so on in that fashion. If you guys do the math, you can actually tell that number 1 gets to choose not only the number 20, but the number 1 pick. So we'll get into that here for you in just a little bit. But also, one of the things that we have going for us today is that every single one of these guys has the option to veto a choice that they made. Everybody hold up your vetoes if you have that here, just so you can see what that looks like, and that way I know. They have one chance. That means that player cannot play that movie throughout the rest of the game. That does not mean that movie cannot be played by another person, though. So if they feel that maybe that should be a little bit higher on the list or should not be on the list at all, we will find out here for you guys. But big announcement here for you guys. We had you guys sign that clipboard at the beginning. We will be giving away some digital downloads at the end of this, so make sure to stick around for that. And then in addition to that, we will be giving away 2 $25 gift cards to Last Stop itself here tonight. So thank you so much for joining us. Are you guys ready to get the game started? Woo! All right, before we do that, we are going to introduce everybody, and everybody is sitting in order. We are going to start with Blake, the contrarian Ginithan.
Yes, that is me.
You want to say a little bit about yourself?
There's a disgusting rumor about me that I don't like movies, and that is not true at all.
Sort of true.
I just have standards, I guess.
All right, and Blake is with Backlot 605. Next, you can find him by doing a general Google search for Fast and Furious fan fiction. His name is Brian Mensing.
Hi. I'm like, how do I respond to that?
I don't know. Pass out your novels.
Where's the Corona, Brian?
I left it in the back, I guess.
Dominic Toretto was angry. I'll read the audiobooks. That'd be fun.
Okay, there you go. I'll write you do the audio.
All right, and next we have also from Backlot 605, I would like to call him kind of the mediator of this group, Casey Kelderman, everyone.
Yeah, I think that works. That's all right.
Not
your best
right.
work, but it's all right.
All right, and over on the other side, we have got from Somewhat Random Movie Collection, Cory Jacobsen.
Oh, hey, I was not expecting to be introduced. I think you may have skipped over someone. Hi, my name is Cory Jacobsen. I am full of energy right now.
I watched
You're
Cory.
full of something.
I watched Cory grab like an oil can full of Red Bull, so he's ready to go for this.
That's actually pretty much correct.
All right, last and certainly least, a man that I am familiar with. But I'll give you a little bit of an intro here.
Oh, good. What
this
do you
is,
have
This
to
is
say?
Andy Heller from Fat Dude Digs Flicks.
That was a little bit of an intro. Way to go. Well done, Charlie. I'm glad.
Are you talking about a little guy?
Oh my God.
Right here? Right here?
Yep, I see him.
All right, so for those who don't know the backstory on this, Andy and I had started a friendship a little bit.
Was it a friendship, Charlie?
I'm gonna, you know,
Was
what?
it a friendship?
I'm gonna let the mediator maybe tell the story
yeah.
a little bit.
An independent
I think
party.
this might be a personal matter, but this is gonna be right up here. So don't worry.
Good. So no words at.
Nice and
Let's
safe.
let's flash back a little bit to last September, SiouxperCon.
Yeah.
Charlie was very gracious to come to our event, and throughout that, Andy throughout that week was calling out one of the biggest guests that we had that week, Billy
My
Gunn.
personal friend,
Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn. Billy could not make it. He had he was watching his son wrestle, right?
Yeah. His son was wrestling at Ring of Honor that night, and he had also not talked to his wife for about a week. So yeah, he was spending some family time that night.
Yeah, it was very much respectable. But Andy continued to call him out.
Yeah. Listen, here's the thing. when you have the opportunity to take your shot, you take your shot. And my shot.
Eminem.
That's whatever. One opportunity, mom's spaghetti. I saw the opportunity in front of me to try to lure Billy Gunn onto the Backlot 605 podcast with my charm and charisma and nonsense talking, I guess is the best way to put it.
And you got me instead.
And so
that's what your charm got you.
Listen, so it didn't quite work to get Billy Gunn because he had other commitments. But at the end of our live show, Charlie made it known exactly how he felt about my attempts to call out his friend.
Yeah, you can't call out Billy Gunn. The man, I mean, I said it on the podcast. Please go back and listen to that podcast. But the man is legitimately the size of a dinosaur. I mean, I don't care how big of a guy you are. You couldn't take him. You couldn't.
Look, you're right. You're not wrong. I just wanted to try. Actually, in my head, I envisioned that if he showed up, the moment he walked through the door, I would turn and run the other way. I would turn and walk quickly because I'm fat. I would turn and walk
briskly
at a moderate pace,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's work.
Yeah, I'd be right there with you. I mean, my legs are real tiny, so it would have been just fine. But then, a few months later, I was asked to be on Backlot 605 to do a bracket of movies starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
the superstar
of
Dwayne "The Rock"
professional
Johnson.
wrestling and movies.
Yeah.
In this day and age, and I wanted to leave my mark on Andy.
Yeah. So you not threat. I don't know if threaten is the right word. You said that
I don't know if threatening can come out of this body.
That's not something you can do.
Yeah,
But
I know they can't see me, but like this is I'm a marshmallow.
You're a
and
diminutive
tiny
fella.
one. Yeah.
You said that if I were going to show up to the podcast, that I needed to bring something that meant the world to me. That thing is now located on your pocket. It is my Andre the Giant clip-on pen that I got at a Kmart in Omaha, Nebraska when I was 6 years old. This has been through 30-plus years of my life by my side.
And one Eccles family Christmas.
I hope you enjoyed it, Charlie. I hope you treated Andre with
Enjoy it, Andy.
Andre, come back to me. Andre, come home. Anybody want a pillow? So
We're starting this off with dueling Andre the Giant impressions, guys. You are in for a long ride, is what's going on.
Aren't you glad admission was free? But yeah,
I took it from you.
you did. You took it from
I
me.
took it from you. Yeah.
And you have taunted me since.
I have. I saw you at Star Wars.
You did.
I taunted you there.
Yeah.
There's.
I have the video of that.
Yep.
Yep.
I was there. I mean, it just, Andy, you can't call out my people. I mean, that's,
You know,
you got to know what's up now.
I feel like it's coming out of a place of love, but also attention-seeking behavior. So, it is what it is.
It's fair. No, it's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad to see Andre here today. He's in the wrong spot.
oh, should he be on the other pocket?
No. Wrong pocket. He should be here, next to my heart, not yours. I will get him by day's end.
By day's end? I mean, it's winter, man. The sun's like down now.
You got he should be mine right now.
Anyway, all right. So this feud aside, thank you so much for joining us here today. You can find all of these guys' podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also find, for the most part, you can find the Backlot 605 on YouTube these days as well. Make sure to go give them a follow, a like. Make sure to keep up with all of these guys. But we are going to be getting the game started. So like we said, each of these guys are going to get 4 picks. Each player gets the 1 veto. And then I think we're ready to get started. Who's ready to get started with the best movies of the decade?
Woo!
All right. And we are starting off with Blake.
Right.
Blake, number 20.
I don't like this. I already don't.
We're
like this.
already off to
I don't like it.
you can feel the tension.
Blake has decided to play at number 20, Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise science fiction action movie where he dies 30 or 40 times. So it works in 2 ways. If you don't like Tom Cruise, or if you do like Tom Cruise, if you like Tom Cruise, the action star, you get to see him kick butt. If you hate Tom Cruise, he dies so many times in this movie. So
That's a good way to put it.
Edge of Tomorrow is like
It's the perfect movie.
Edge of Tomorrow is like the Groundhog's Day of science fiction movies. Tom Cruise plays like this dweeby officer in the military, and they're fighting an alien race who is trying to take over Europe. And unbeknownst to him, his commander sends him to the front line of battle, and he ends up dying, but he gets alien blood in him, and that allows him to relive his day over and over and over again. And the movie does this really well, where he is figuring this out, and he dies in so many really funny ways. He gets run over by a truck at one point. He gets decapitated. He just dies on the beach. The scene he dies in originally is like a Normandy-style invasion, so that kind of calls back to World War II a little bit. And we've had 30 or 40 years of Tom Cruise being this big action star, and it's kind of cool to watch a movie where we get to see him play a wuss, and he slowly grows into the action star we know.
But who actually plays the action star in this?
You're right. To be fair, the big action star of the movie is probably Emily Blunt,
Yes.
who is great. I'm not going to say what they call her in the movie, but
Well, exactly.
they call her a certain word.
This is the movie that makes her husband go, I need to make more action movies.
Yeah, I've seen this movie. I watch it once a year, and it gets better and better every time. And yeah, I love it.
Should we say real quick that we have no idea what anyone else on this panel is
Oh
picking?
yeah, that's probably a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody knows what they're actually playing until now. They were here for about an hour and a half before, and nobody discussed what their picks are. So everything is going to be a surprise to everybody in the room.
Now, people assume that someone in particular on this panel is going to play one movie in particular.
You.
And they're not wrong. but we don't honestly don't know what we've got in our pocket.
Right.
So
Well, let's go back to Edge of Tomorrow here for you guys. Blake, thank you so much for policing that here. First things first, how about we just hear from you guys on your thoughts on the movie here as well. We'll get a couple of quick thoughts on that, and then we'll keep moving on.
this is an inspired pick. This is a really good one. It's on my long
You guys
list.
did. You guys didn't trust me, and I told you to trust me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Are you
but
sure?
we're
We
in,
still
I didn't
trust you.
expect this at
we're
all.
in the bottom 10. Like, wait until we get to
Yeah.
the top 10. That's where we start to like.
Mistrust me. Don't trust me.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. No, I think this is a great pick. This is a fun movie that is actually really well done. So yeah, good job.
This is not the Tom Cruise movie I was thinking of for this decade, but I like the choice, especially here at 20. It's a good spot for it.
It's definitely one that I don't think it even came up on my radar, but it's definitely one I would certainly stand by.
Even though I absolutely love the movie Swingers, this is probably my favorite Doug Liman movie. Maybe Go is a little bit higher, but I still love Edge of Tomorrow quite a bit. And Not Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
So everybody agrees with Blake's pick on this one?
Oh, yeah,
Number
I'm
20?
cool with that,
Awesome.
man.
No vetoes?
Good one.
Of course you got
Good job.
Perfect. Well, let's go on to number 19, Brian.
There you go. Figured it'd probably stay a little bit in the being a little fun aspect of the film.
This is a little bit of a wild card, actually, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm in
Get my
the...
veto just ready, just
Yeah.
in case.
At number 19, Brian has played Anna and the Apocalypse.
Okay.
Really? Why
I-
did you look like
I-
that?
I've never seen it, so I.
Brian, go ahead.
It's one of those movies that unfortunately did not get a whole lot of play here in the States. It's from UK, Europe, whatever the case is. England. It is a mashup of movies. It's one I definitely think most people need to see if given the opportunity, but it's not going to be for everybody, unfortunately. It's the best way I can explain, at least for the sake of a mashup of genres, is if you took like High School Musical meets Shaun of the Dead during Christmas. So it's a Christmas movie, zombie movie, rom-com.
High school.
It's a musical as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They're in. Yep. A lot of.
Oh, and High School Musical. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. High School Musical. It's the girl, the Anna, that she's basically trying to make her way back to the high school to get her dad to save her during this zombie apocalypse. It's has a lot of very cliche type of characters that you would expect you see in a high school type of setting. For me, one of the things I absolutely love about it, it has an amazing soundtrack. The musical aspect of it definitely holds up for the tone of the movie and everything like that. Probably has one of the dirtiest Santa songs you will ever hear in your life.
It really does, actually.
It really does. But I think a very good, solid movie that I just don't think got the love in the States that I think that it deserved.
All right, thoughts from everyone else?
I've never seen it.
So I had originally I played this movie on a different podcast that we had done. Me and Blake did. I really want to veto this movie. I love the movie, but we are talking 20 movies of the decade.
20 movies of the decade, yeah.
I have two musicals in my pile that I think are far superior to Anna and the Apocalypse.
It's tough,
But
right?
I don't trust Brian enough to play. He'll play it at his next pick.
Well, he can't. He can't play it
Oh,
anymore.
that is true. He can't play it. Oh, God. I'll let you guys talk about the other ones that have seen it.
Yeah.
We're pretty early in the game for you guys to be using
That's
your
the
vetoes,
thing.
too, yeah.
And that's why I don't think I'm going to. It is very early. I don't like this movie. It's fine. I think for what it is, it's just fine.
It's
But
fine.
man, it really the way that I wanted it to resonate with me, it really didn't. Man, I feel like I'm the first person to just be like, hey, see that thing you did? I'm gonna kick it because I don't like it. No, I wanted to like this movie so much, and I think that
Were you asleep when you watched it?
no, I was wide awake. I kind of maybe wish I was sleeping. No, I feel like it's such a mashup of different ideas that it doesn't really develop
has a
any
little
of
too
them.
much on its plate at times.
That it doesn't really develop any of them far enough for me to really appreciate the movie as a whole. I think that we're bound to see a lot of really good things from that leading actress. I think she is just fantastic, and I would like to see more from the creative team behind it, because I think that this is what they're going out with out of the gate. Wait for them in the future, because it's going to be something really special. I just don't think this one was developed enough for me to consider it one of the best. But this is pick number 19, and that's really hard for me to be like, there are movies
Is that
out
a
there.
strategy? Is Brian playing something so that he knows that
I get
somebody
it.
will veto?
I get it.
I want to hear Corey's thoughts on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
I actually probably liked it a little bit more than you guys, but I
You also like
am
bad CGI
kind of-
sharks.
That's the thing. I promised not to play the movie Bad CGI Sharks, and here you are playing Annie and the Apocalypse. Really? Like, I understand. I would definitely give it probably about 2.5, possibly approaching 3 stars, but I wasn't blown away by it. But I'm also cool with it being on here just because I think more horror representation is great, but I just think it's kind of odd.
I'm vetoing.
You're gonna
this.
veto it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Showing my cards already. I have 2 musicals and a horror movie. We're gonna have those taken care of. Where I love Anna and the Apocalypse. I do. There's just a lot of problems with it. I think that as a really bad villain, the principal in the high school is really bad, and there's just something missing to make it a perfect movie. And a movie to make the top 20 list of the decade. So
Brian, you did a bad thing. You should feel ashamed.
Brian,
I should feel ashamed.
No, Brian's
Bad
going to
Brian.
make us pay
Maybe I
for
should.
this.
Maybe I was gonna say maybe I should feel better the fact he doesn't have a veto anymore.
Well, that's cool because
can't-
now I
yeah,
can
I-
actually play something I was thinking of playing, because since that was there, I was starting to take a card out of my stack, and now I feel as if I can play it as sort of like the token horror comedy in there. So
All right, Brian, that means we got to go back to you here. Number 19, Brian, what is your new number 19 pick?
I had to.
Do you feel better now?
Yes, I do. I can't. I'm
You
sorry.
writing one down now?
Ooh.
I'm gonna have to so you can put it up there. Okay. All right.
It's all right. It's all right. Take your time.
I'm not going to look.
Blake is trying. I feel like his neck's about to snap.
Yeah, he's trying anyway. Here you go. All right.
See, this is why we all have kind of stressed out this week about this, because it's like, oh, what if somebody plays something that we don't like? We gotta tell them we don't like it.
He played something I did like, and I vetoed it.
All right, Brian's new number 19 pick, Raid Redemption.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
At least I feel better now.
Yeah. Much better. much better pick.
So we're talking about another international film and whatnot, one that actually probably got a little bit better play in the States than Anna did. Gareth Evans. Welsh director goes to Indonesia to work on a documentary, finds out that Indonesia has these great, their martial arts, if I can even pronounce it correctly, that to the point where he's like, I'm going to make an action movie that's kind of basis around this specific martial arts. Fantastic movie. I even came across it just by sheer accident, because when it came over to the States, when Sony propositioned it for the United States, they actually had Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park and Joseph Chimpanzee that assisted on the Tron Legacy score. That's how I even came across it, because they did the score for the American release. It's fast-paced, very well choreographed action. What is it about?
Yeah.
Basically, it's about the police trying to get into this one specific building where it's literally level upon level, trying to get to the top floor to get to the main bad guy. I don't even know how to even describe this film, to be honest. Help me out here, Blake.
It feels like a John Carpenter movie
Yeah.
this new era of it's like Assault on Precinct 13 for this
Yes.
new era.
And it almost kind of feels like a video game where a person starts at
Level 1.
in one level,
Right.
and they constantly are working their way up floor to floor until they reach the final boss at the top of the building. And I absolutely adore this movie.
There is legit shots that'll make you
Yes.
watch this movie and you cringe because you think that they legit got hurt.
I'm pretty sure they shot this in Indonesia because the laws are so lax over there in terms of what they can do that they wanted to hurt these guys more.
Right.
And that's why they shot it there, because they could be more extreme with their violence.
Or maybe he just likes Indonesian martial arts.
That too.
All right. It seemed like that was a pretty collective yes on that one.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to Casey, number 18.
Let me get my sign ready.
Casey.
Here, hold on. Here. Just watch this.
Vengeance.
I haven't even seen Raid Redemption, and it's already a better pick than Anna and the Apocalypse.
All right. Number 19, Casey has
18?
picked.
18?
Or I'm sorry, number 18. Did I say 19?
Oh, you're not good at this. are
I'm
you?
not good at this.
You're fired.
No, not even a little bit.
We need
It
to throw
follows.
in a suplex somewhere just so Charlie can get back in the game.
It Follows is played at number 18.
So yes, if you don't know about me, I am kind of the horror guy in the group, and a horror movie has to make this list. And it was not going to be Anna and the Apocalypse.
Guy
It
is not
going
the
to-
word we're going to use.
It is going to be the horror movie of the decade. It Follows is the best horror film of this decade. Basically, it's a throwback to 80s style films, very John Carpenter style. I don't like Cory laughing over there.
Dude, I really dig this movie. So, you
Okay.
know, what you're saying is cool.
I was a little scared, but
I was too.
so basically what this movie is, it's about this girl who is on this date with this guy, and he begins to see these things that she isn't seeing. And what actually happens and is explained in the movie is that the two have sex with each other, and basically this guy transmits this sexually transmitted demon to this woman and begins following her around, and she has to try to figure out a way to get rid of this demon, and there's only one way to do it. You have to pass it on to someone else through having sex. So in doing so, it's a movie about pretty much STDs and literally sexually transmitted demons. What I love about this movie, it has the most perfect score I have maybe ever heard. I love the score of this movie. I think it's the best score of the decade, easily for myself. It's also legitimately scary. Like everything about this, like I can still. I've watched this movie 5-6 times now, and it still scares me. So It Follows has to be on this list. Also, Micah Monroe is an up-and-coming star. She made her breakout performance in this movie, so it has to be on here.
Was she also in, oh God, is it The Guest with Dan Stevens?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And Independence Day, too.
Oh, well, let's not talk about
We won't talk about that one.
That's his next pick.
Yes.
All right. How does everybody feel about It Follows at number 17?
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
good.
say much to it.
It's good.
Yeah.
remember 18.
There are movies, horror films that I think are better than that, but I'm also cool with It Follows. So,
it. Yeah, I think it's good.
Corey's just cool over there.
I'm fine. I told you I'm probably not going to play a veto. So
No, it's a good pick, man.
yeah.
All right. Andy, number 17.
Number 17. Okay, I'm okay with this.
I like how your purpose is just to hold it as far away from it as possible.
Have you noticed Andre is not out when he comes over to talk to you?
Oh, because I'm physically afraid of Andy. come on, guys.
I mean, he is as big as a
Let's
house.
be honest. All right. Ooh. Albeit for us to agree on this one here, I think this one definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yeah.
Number 17, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
Yes.
I love this movie. For me, this is one of the best comic book / video game movies of the decade. From Edgar Wright. I really enjoy Edgar Wright as a filmmaker. The concept here is that Scott Pilgrim is a loser, and he starts to date a high schooler. And while he's dating this high school girl, he falls in love with this manic pixie dream girl named Ramona Flowers, who is just everything he's ever wanted in a woman. And in order to get the opportunity to date her, he has to confront her 7 evil exes. And he does so in the style of video game, like comic book type battles. They are just really inventive pieces of cinema. I really like that they're very stylized, like the kind of manga comics, the graphic novels that they're based off of. There are a lot of video game style techniques.
Excuse me, the graphic novels. Thank you.
I'm not gonna go full nerd on
That's
this
all
one.
right.
But yeah,
Don't offend my people, please.
What's that?
Don't offend my people, please.
Listen, I am a nerd too. Look at me.
He picked Michael Cera after all.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this movie's filled with fun performances. It's just a really funny concept, and I think it's a pretty faithful adaptation to the source material, even though they changed the ending. Because I think the movie came out before.
They didn't change the ending. He hadn't actually released.
He hadn't
the
released
seventh
the
volume
book yet. Yeah.
So.
And I think, honestly, I think if they would have kept the ending of the graphic novel, it would have been a little bit better. Maybe it would have been in that the next level up. But I just think this is a really cool, really fun, stylized movie. And I think, for me at least, how I'm kind of judging this list, this is where this should rest. It's a great movie. Is it top 10 of the decade? No. But bottom 10 of the top 20? Oh, yeah. It's fun. This is a really enjoyable watch. So, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Cool. All right, everybody else. How do you guys feel about Scott Pilgrim being on 17?
I think it's a good, solid pick.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
How do you feel, Blake?
you don't like the end. You don't like the end boss.
It's a good movie. It has incredible editing.
Yeah. Everything's fun.
I think for the sake of the special effects as they're used to give it a very comic book stylized version of itself, I think definitely plays into it. And I think it was, if anybody else would have made this movie outside of Edgar Wright, I think there is a possibility it would have just been absolutely horrendous.
It had that Edgar Wright humor in it,
very
too,
much so.
which was really great. So.
Still his best movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, actually,
I'm with you.
Very sentimental about this movie. It's one of the first movies that my wife and I saw when we were first
Everybody
dating.
say,
so,
Guys.
another movie that we saw, which I thought was going to make me cry, didn't, and it's one of the most disappointing films that I've seen in a very long time. But everyone else seems to love it, so I will not even mention it. It's a little movie called Toy Story 3.
I was gonna say, I was gonna give you the flip side of the coin for me. This was one of the first movies I saw after I got divorced, guys.
This movie's for everyone. All right, should we move on to number 16?
Let's do it.
All right, Corey.
Okay. Oh, now he's got to work for it.
All right, you guys. At number 16, Corey has played Call Me Lucky.
Okay, this is a movie that personally, this would be in the upper echelon of my top 20, but I'm playing it because I think it deserves to be here. But I don't think a good majority of the people have even seen it. It is
Never even heard of it.
It is a documentary about the comedian Barry Crimmins. He was a relatively well-liked comedian from the 80s, and later on in his life, I am very happy that the little girl left so that I could kind of explain this a little bit more. He finds out late in life that he was sexually molested as a child, and he becomes a crusader around the East Coast against sexual predators. And it is a documentary directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. It's one of my favorite films he's ever done. I wept like a little child when the movie ends. I don't know exactly what else to say about it without getting too in-depth in it. But if you have a chance to check out the documentary, I'm almost ready to cry when I'm talking about it. It is really well done. It was shown here around the time that it came out nationally, and we were able to do a Q&A session with Barry, and yeah, he was a Facebook friend of mine until he passed away a few years ago. So yeah.
I was going to ask because when you made your pick, the name did not stick out to me at all, but I remember that he recently passed away.
Yeah.
And I think somebody on social media posted something about that movie, and it kind of clicked into place. But
Well, I know Bobcat. He and Barry were very close friends.
Yeah.
So, if you could tell from how emotional, I'm sorry, we're going off of the high of Scott Pilgrim versus the World to Depression Hour.
Bring
of
it down,
sexual
Corey.
molestation.
Bring us home, Corey.
Take us through the human
I know.
experience, Corey.
Oh yeah. I don't know how many, if anyone else has seen that, but if you want to veto it. Feel free, because that's the reason that I played it here, is because I knew that I couldn't play it higher because most people haven't seen it. But
All right. How do the rest of you guys feel about that one?
I'm not going to veto it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be.
No, I'm good.
I don't have a veto anymore.
You're welcome, Casey.
Casey has no choice.
How do you feel about that?
And he almost cried. I wouldn't veto it.
Oh, thanks for showing your emotion, Corey. Veto!
Would you like to
fine.
rescind that?
I guess I'll just become closed again. I will never show any more emotions. Hey guys, how's it going? I really like the movie that you like too.
All right. Should we go on to number 15? We are back on to Blake.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Corey.
We're coming back this way.
Corey gets good.
Corey goes again.
Corey
gets
again,
go
and
back
we're
to back.
I'm so sorry. I am bad at this.
Charlie,
guys.
we are going to fire you.
Okay.
I have a great voice, and I'm great at wrestling.
Calling wrestling.
Calling wrestling, not actually being a wrestler.
I'm going to lighten the mood for everything.
Please.
And this is another one that I know the majority of people here have seen this. But yeah.
So giddy.
It's Jack and Jill, isn't it?
Jack and Jill.
It's Jack and Jill. It's bad CGI sharks.
All right, number 15. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
This is a mock documentary about a bunch of vampires that live in a house, directed by Taika Waititi.
It's fake?
It's fake.
Kidding. I knew
Yeah,
that.
and it's basically about their day-to-day lives as they go through being vampires. It really doesn't have a heck of a lot of a plot, but Taika Waititi, he directed a movie called Eagle vs. Shark. Most recently did a movie called Jojo Rabbit, which I think is probably one of the best movies from last year. And it also stars Jermaine Clement. If you've ever seen Flight of the Conchords, he is the tall, very odd-looking gentleman from Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, I don't know exactly what else to say other than it is a movie that makes me laugh on a consistent basis. So I have seen it probably 15 times since it came out. I love the TV show. I love the TV show about the two cops, which I found a way of watching even though it's not available here in America. So yeah, I have a little bit of an obsession with this particular movie. Now, what do you guys think?
I've never seen it.
Oh, wow.
Haven't seen it either.
Oh, my goodness. You guys are horror guys, too.
I know.
These
this
guys,
movie-
I would have expected these two to have seen it.
Have you seen it, Brian?
No. I know of it and I appreciate it because that's exactly as soon as I saw that they made the TV show, I put that on my DVR and watched the first episode.
Well, you see, Jermaine Clement has a monologue in that film.
You can only get away with crying once, Corey.
They can only do that once. Most people will know him from Moana at this point.
Yes.
Here we go. Let's do this. I'm going to turn and address you.
Hey.
Hey, Corey. This is a great
That was
pick.
Andy's NPR voice, by the way.
Hello, Corey. I'm ready to talk to you
Andy, how
directly.
you doing?
This is a wonderful movie. I think this is so much fun. I love the TV series. I really, really like the movie. I love the TV series, which is very strange to have it kind of go that way. Only
Yes.
Friday Night Lights has done that with me
Oh,
before
yeah.
as well. But yeah, this is a good pick, and I'm surprised that these three have not seen this.
I'm
yet.
really surprised that at least 2 of the 3 on
Yeah.
that couch have not
Yeah.
seen it, actually.
Push it up your list, gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Good pick.
At least I know for a fact that I'm not I'm the third that you're not referring to.
All right. Everybody feel good about what we do in the shadows at number 15.
It's Taika. I support it, period.
Yeah. All right. Andy, number 14.
Man, okay. Give me just a second here. Hold on. Okay, so like this is the part where it's like it's still not in the top 10 yet, so the stress level is not super high. But it's like this is where you kind of pick ones that are kind of.
But you only have 3 picks left.
I do only have 3 picks left.
Yeah. Or unless it gets vetoed like I did.
Oh my god, guys.
It's so stressful.
All right, I'm gonna go with. Oh God.
He's gonna regret this.
Come on, Andy.
I'm going. Okay.
Someone count him down.
Come on.
Maybe someone will want it to go higher. We'll see.
All
Is that a
right.
plea?
I don't know.
At number 14, Andy has played Carol.
All right. This is the Todd Haynes kind of 1950s, 1960s set romance featuring Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara. This movie is gorgeous to look at and beautifully heartbreaking. You know how you kind of choked up a little bit talking about something that's real? I feel like I'm going to choke up talking about something that's fake. This is just such it's set during a time where a lesbian romance is just unheard of, unthinkable, unimaginable. And watching these 2 women kind of fall for each other and have to restrain themselves from acting on this relationship, even though both of them want to. This movie is gorgeous. Just a wonderful, wonderful movie. I'm playing it here because it's one of those where it's like, I feel like in another world it could definitely go higher on the list. But I don't want to run that risk of this one not being on the list. I think this one is very important. Just a really well-made movie, and one that surprisingly hit with a lot of critics the year that it came out, but didn't get as much awards recognition as I think we're kind of, as being movie fans, we're kind of used to seeing that happen, where the movies that we champion don't always get the recognition that we hope they do. And I think this is one. I did not get to see it the year that it came out because I don't even remember if it played in theaters here or not. But as soon as it came out, I was finally able to watch it, and I just fell in love with this movie. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful movie, and I'm putting it number 14.
All right, let's hear from everyone else. How do you guys feel about Carol at number 14?
That's a great pick.
I don't have the passion for it that you do, but I am definitely, I think it's a beautifully, wonderfully made film. So, yep.
Whew.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, I feel good. That's all right. That's all right.
You know, and I kind of want to hear from you guys too, just a little bit, because I think we're hearing from the person who makes the pick a lot here for us. Like, if you guys agree with that, like, what in your guys' words, what did you guys appreciate about some of the movies that have been played so far?
I'm not watching enough movies.
You run a movie podcast, Brian. You're watching enough movies.
I have 2 5-year-olds.
Carol.
He's busy writing fast fan fiction. Thank you.
That's right,
We've already
I know.
covered
a little
this.
busy.
I can't think of any of the other characters' names right now to make like I'm reading from your fan fiction. It's just always going to go back to Dominic Toretto was sweaty.
One of the characters is literally his name.
Yeah, one of the characters is literally named Brian.
Brian. Family.
All right, let's go on to number 13, you guys.
Casey.
I'm ready.
He says he's ready.
He just wrote down, so he must have changed something.
I forgot to write it down at the beginning.
Make sure I read your handwriting.
Do you want me to read it out? Otherwise, I was really bad handwriting.
That's okay. It looks like at number 13, Casey's going to play Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Yes.
Pop star, never stop, never
I can't even
stopping.
say no to this.
An
I love
inspired
this.
choice, Casey.
Very,
An
very
inspired
inspired.
choice.
I love this movie. This movie is it's nonstop funny. Like you'll say that people say that about comedies all the time. It literally never stops, never stopping. The soundtrack is so good in this movie. If you don't know what it's about, it's the Lonely Island guys having an excuse to make a movie. It's basically
Because
about
they have an excuse.
It's about this pop star that is basically modeled after like Justin Bieber, pretty much.
Justin Timberlake, isn't it?
No,
Because doesn't he come from a group?
well, it's a little bit of like the Justin Turner, like the
It's a
breaking off from the
combination of
group.
all
Justin,
of
Okay.
those
Listen,
type of-
I think he's
Casey
making
is
fun of pop stars.
20-something years old. It's Justin Bieber.
He doesn't know who NSYNC is. does
There's
he?
never been a real boy band in Casey's life.
Never.
Is what's going on.
But his name he goes by the name Connor For Real with the number 4, which I think is just great. Yeah, and it's played by Andy Samberg. I think this decade has been Lonely Island's decade for anything comedy. Like they're the best thing SNL had for a while. All 3 of their comedy musical albums are fantastic. If I could play the Bash Brothers Experience, I probably would. But yeah, the Pop Star is just I think it's a perfect comedy because it has literally everything you would want in it. And yeah, I don't know what you guys feel about this movie, but I think it should be on this list.
All right, how does everybody else feel?
I think we all love it, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I love
absolutely.
this movie. It's so
And this-
stupid.
And for me, this is coming from a place when like Hot Rod came out. I was like, this looks like the stupidest thing on the planet. And I at least have the appreciation of the Lonely Island when they were with SNL and all that stuff because all the shorts there were fantastic. And maybe I lean towards soundtracks more heavily than I think I should, but it's the soundtrack when I saw how they put that together, who the featured artists were on it, to go, okay, maybe I really need to see this movie. I never thought I'd see a comedy soundtrack with Andy Samberg with Linkin Park on it.
Things in my Jeep, baby.
Yeah, to hear Chester Bennington just rip off of what stuff is in his car. And I'm like, all right, I got to watch this movie, and I was not disappointed.
Better soundtrack than Anna and the Apocalypse.
You're just right on here.
All right, let's go on to number 12. Brian, let's get your pick.
I'm glad that stayed. Yeah, I was worried.
Yeah.
I was worried. Tim Meadows is great in the movie too.
Brian,
I
did
should
you-
Oh,
bring
you
that
mean
up.
Tony from Tony, and Tony?
The question mark Tony.
Brian, did you write any of these in advance, or are you just on the fly? Just
A little bit of-
You know what? I'm going to write it now.
I got my notes if I actually had to go to them,
Wow.
but
Impressive.
no, yeah.
Cool.
I probably should have. I didn't realize that's what you guys were doing.
Well, you might be less stressed or more stressed than we are now.
All right,
I'm
this
just
one
winging it
will
at this
come
point.
at no surprise to anyone. Number 12, Brian has played Fast Five.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
I knew I had to at least get one of those on there because otherwise people would be disappointed at me.
At least one.
Oh, I didn't tell you what number 2 is
Yeah,
going
we're
to
not
be.
keeping more than one. Go ahead, Fast Five.
So Fast Five. Yeah, how do I even start with this? I
The
mean,
Fast and the Furious
it's the
guy is
Fast and the Furious
speechless.
movies.
Chapter
I'm-
1, Dom sweating with fury.
As he stared into the rearview mirror.
The one thing I actually appreciate about this movie is that when they started actually kind of honing it, if you will, you know, they're starting to progress and getting in sake of the better of the movies, if you will. People will say it's the whole franchise Viagra with adding Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it. I think one of the upsides to this is that they started to bring back reoccurring characters from previous to really make it more of a universe, if you will. They're bringing back people from. This is the reintroduction of Ludacris and Tyrese from Too Fast, Too Furious, which most people want to forget that movie exists. You know, it's not the greatest movie in the franchise, but it does have those two solid characters. Are like, hey, you know what? We're gonna bring them in. This is pre Wonder Woman Gal Gadot.
I think they're racing above us right now.
Yeah, that's what that is.
I think, you know, how many movies can you have two Dodge Chargers hauling a great big bank vault down Rio de Janeiro streets, just destroying everything and not have a good time.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
I think you forgot to mention the most important part is how heartwarming it is, because it's a movie about family.
It is.
It's
It-
all
it-
about
It's all
family.
about the family.
It's about family.
And sometimes families fight.
Family.
And yeah.
And I do love the fact that,
Coronas and
all
family.
of these characters from past movies have got like these superpowers in the sense of like all of a sudden Ludacris is the guy that knows how to break into bank vaults, but we don't explain it. It is.
And the series isn't too ludicrous yet at this point. Dominic Toretto isn't stomping on the ground to cause an earthquake yet.
No, they haven't gone to space
There
yet.
was so much there, Casey.
You were trying.
I try.
I
think we're all gonna keep
Brian,
this-
have you ever figured out the Fast and the Furious timeline yet?
What
What
time?
movies take place when?
Oh, you want to quiz me on the spot?
Yes.
He's gonna do it.
Don't do it.
Don't tempt him. Don't do
Don't
it.
do it.
Don't lay it out there.
He has an entire 130
Challenge.
page
We have
novel
11
on it.
more movies.
Yeah, right?
to talk
Yes.
about. And they all can't be Fast and the Furious
Oh,
movies.
please don't let them be.
See, at least Cory understands.
All right. Well, Brian got vetoed on his first pick here, guys.
Yeah, am I gonna
How
get
does
vetoed
everybody
again?
feel about Brian playing Fast 5 at number 12?
I wish it was higher, honestly.
I was kind of afraid.
I'm not going to veto it because I'm going to save it. So,
It needs to be on the list.
yeah, I agree.
I have
Andy.
nothing to say about this. I'm
I can't imagine, like, Brian gets 4 picks and 4 vetoes, guys.
I legit mentally prepared for that.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about this not from a movie perspective, but from we still have 11 more movies that have to come out. I gotta hold on to this.
Okay.
But man, of the top 20 movies of the decade, I mean, this is the guy who played Scott Pilgrim versus the World, so I can't really say anything. But it's Fast 5 is fun. Fast 5 is an absolute blast. Oh, but man, to see it above,
Hey, it's not in the top 10.
Above
it's
Scott
true.
Pilgrim?
It's true. Yeah, it's to see it above Scott. My heart hurts a little. No, this is a fun movie. It's a fun movie. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna back away from the microphone.
All right. So it looks like, Casey does not have a veto.
Want to use
Andy's
it.
not going to use
I'm
it.
not gonna use it.
I
don't wanna be
Corey.
that-
Blake doesn't sound like Blake. Looks like Blake's
I feel
going
like
to
I'm
agree
being
at this point.
targeted
I
at this
love
point.
this movie.
I don't want to be
There was
the,
a lot
the,
of debate
the
going on.
buzzkill of
That's
the
all I'm
group.
saying here.
The bad guy. Like,
I think it's one of the series of the decade, and you got to have the best one of the series represented on the list.
Well, exactly. And I think it is. It's weird, and specifically coming from a guy that's probably going to have, well, except for What We Do in the Shadows, but a little bit more of a serious bent to some of the ones that I'm recommending. I want something fun on there, and when I think of fun, I think of the Fast and the Furious
Thank you.
franchise. It's ludicrous, it's big, it's giant, it's loud. It is the Michael Bay movie that he wishes he made this decade.
it's a competent Michael Bay movie.
Oh,
Hey,
come on.
at least
better than a comedy.
Andy, at least I didn't go with the one that has the 26-mile long runway.
That's a good
All
one, too,
right,
actually.
all right. Yeah, we've
Name-
got a long way to go on the
Yep,
list here,
yes.
guys. We could talk. Sounds like we've got another podcast when it comes to the Fast and the Furious movies. It's called Backlot 605.
Every week.
Every week. All right, we are going to move on to Blake has number 11. Ooh, relatively new. Blake is going to play Parasite.
I knew this was coming.
I told myself I wasn't going to pick a movie from the past 2 years because it's too new, but I think Parasite is that good of a movie, and it represents the culmination of the director Bong Joon-ho's decade, where he's made 3 or 4 incredible movies.
All over the place, too.
And so I mean, like, Okja is probably my favorite of the ones he's done, but this one is obviously his best, I think. It's well received by nearly everyone. It's everyone of all cultural backgrounds seems to be taking to it. It's about a poor family in Seoul, Korea, who are able to infiltrate this rich family and find a better way of life until something happens that kind of makes them reflect on, well, maybe not reflect on what they're doing, maybe like just change their tactics a little bit. I don't want to reveal too much about what happens because the twist really makes you think and drives the rest of the movie on the way. But all I'd say for Parasite is the hype is real.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. How does everybody feel about Parasite?
Yeah.
Has everybody had a chance to see it? This movie's come out in just the last few months.
Right.
At this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Only just to buy, like, within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I just last night I had a talk with myself. I went through that same thing. I was like, am I going to really play anything? I can't play anything from this year. And I was like, if I'm going to play something from this year, this is the one that should be on that list. This movie is just amazing. And I remember walking out of the theater like after we got to see the Cinema Falls screening, and I was like, I loved it. Every second of this movie, I just loved it. And it's the way it unfolds over the course of that 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, it's just, you don't know what's going to happen next. And it starts off as one thing, becomes something else, and it just sinks its claws into you. It's such a great movie. I'm really glad that we were able to put this one on there. There were 3 movies that I've picked that I don't think I'm going to play now. But this was one of those 3 that I was like, from South Korea that I just adore. And I'm glad this one made the list. Yeah.
I absolutely adore this movie. It's kind of funny trying to listen to people discuss the film without actually truly discussing it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Trying to keep it spoiler free for a little while.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
What you're saying.
I think it unfortunately gets lumped into the category of being a horror film, and I think some people are a little disappointed when the way that it is portrayed in the trailers, it gives it more of a thriller horror vibe.
Okay.
And when you find out that it's more of a character study and a comedy in a lot of ways, I think it's shocking to people and they feel disappointed. But don't go into it looking at any trailers. Just watch it, enjoy it. And this is one that I was kind of debating on too. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler. I was also debating on The Lighthouse too. But because I absolutely adore The Lighthouse. But I chose not to include anything from the last 2 years because I haven't let Parasite sit with me in the same way that The Host has or Mother has. So I didn't play it, but I'm happy that you did. And I'm going to do a little happy little dance over here.
There you
Look at me doing a dance.
All right.
Cory's halftime dance.
All right. Well, let's recap here, guys, because we have everything up to number 11. Number 20, Edge of Tomorrow. Number 19, Raid Redemption. Number 18, It Follows. Number 17, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Number 16, Call Me Lucky. Number 15, What We Do in the Shadows. Number 14 is Carol. Number 13, Popstar Never Stop Never Stopping. Number 12, Fast 5, and number 11 is Parasite. So we are moving on to the top 10 movies of this last decade, and we are starting again with Blake.
Yeah, this should be higher, but this is like my last stop before number 1, so I gotta get it in here.
Blake has played Under the Skin.
Okay.
Number 10.
Okay. Under the Skin by Jonathan Glazer. He's a British director. He's a music video director, but he makes like a movie every 7 or 8 years, and they're usually knockouts. This is no exception. This is about a mysterious woman played by Scarlett Johansson who arrives in, I believe it's Glasgow. And all she does is she drives around Glasgow in this big van, and she picks up men, and she takes them back to this place, to a mysterious place, and then that's it. But with each person she picks up, you find out that something's happening to them, and with each person, you're given more and more information about what happens to them, and you eventually find out that that she's an alien, and she is finding these men, and they are being like de-skinned and processed for food for aliens on another planet. it's more about like how everything happens. The movie is very oblique, so you really need to pay attention to what's happening. Jonathan Glazer is a very visual director. He has all these amazing scenes where, like, there's one scene where Scarlett Johansson's walking on. It's the scene. The set's pure black, and the guy is following her, and all of a sudden they start sinking in this goo, and she's not. The movie is about what it means to be a human, what it means to learn empathy, what it means to have sympathy for other people, and the way Jonathan Glazer does everything and gets to his ending is one artistic bravura sequence after another. And I might be a little stepping out of bounds a little bit, but I think Jonathan Glazer might be the heir to Stanley Kubrick.
All right. How does everybody feel about this being at number 10?
When Casey was talking about the score to It Follows, it was interesting because I wanted to mention this score, because the Under the Skin score and the It Follows score were two that I had to buy on vinyl, like whenever the vinyl of them was released, just because for me there was something about hearing that electronic kind of music on the old school way to listen to it that just made it kind of feel like, whoa, this is really cool. I used to love this movie intensely. I watched it again recently and it didn't resonate with me as much, but I still think this is a great, great movie. And visually, that scene that you were describing is just awesome, incredible. And it's one of those where it's like it is about discovering that sense of humanity within yourself when you don't have it initially. And I think that's what makes the movie kind of become alive as Scarlett Johansson's character starts to find who she is. It's and
the guys she picks up in the movie, they're real people.
Yeah.
They don't tell these guys on the street that they're in a movie. She just rolls up, talks to them, and all of a sudden they're in the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. How does everybody else feel?
And for me, this is the type of film that the ones that I will be choosing later on also have this characteristic. There are movies where 2 years down the road, when you're done, after you haven't seen it for 2 years, you're left with the feeling that you had when you initially watched it. And I still have that, but I still have these images from the film just ingrained on my brain as to just the one fellow with the face that is an image that I will probably take to the grave. And to me, that is the work of a man that knows what he's doing with a camera. So I am cool with this movie. I did not include it because I knew that someone else would, but bravo, it's awesome. Also, shout out to Sexy Beast. Sexy Beast is an amazing movie with Ben Kingsley too.
This is one of those kind of movies I would lump in with the sake of The Lighthouse, in that when I got done watching it, I don't know what the hell that I watched. It was absolutely beautiful. It was it knew exactly what it was trying to do. I didn't understand what the heck I was experiencing, but like certain kinds of art, you may not understand it at the time you're watching it, but you know the love and appreciation that either went behind it and what you should take out of it. It's a good solid pick. I've had a problem going back to try to rewatch it because
it's a tough movie to watch.
Exactly. I got done with them just like, I need to go take a shower.
Yeah, it's very long and drawn out, and we're selling it really well right now. There's a lot of shots where it just sort of, it's very Terrence Malick in a lot of ways, where they seem to take their time with things. Yeah, but it's actually a fantastic movie. I would recommend, if you are of the right headspace to see it, if you have, 2.5 hours, something like that?
It's an hour and 48 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah.
If you've got 5 hours to just sit down,
that's how long it makes it
watch
feel.
a movie. What? It's 90 minutes? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a long 90 minutes.
Do we got any vetoes on this one?
No?
Nope. All right, let's go back to Brian. Number 9.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna veto this one anyway.
I was like, get your veto
Even if
ready.
it's a movie I like.
Can I hit him with the
I
vampire
hope it's
steak?
Fast
All
Six,
right,
actually.
Brian has chose to play at number 9, John Wick.
You know, like I like the look on your
I
face
love this
there.
movie. I love this
Okay,
movie.
okay.
It's in my stack.
You know, for me, for the sake of wanting to put John Wick on this list, it was a matter of, you know, do you flip the coin and
Which
say
one?
which one do you put? I mean, this has literally given us the next stage of the Keanu sense that we have that shows the amount of passion and work that he himself has put into the films, let alone the ensemble cast that have come through any of the movies for that matter. You know, you already knew that he was pretty decent at the martial arts that he's learned from like the Matrix movies and whatnot, but just the amount of dedication he's taken to even just learning the gunplay of this movie, the action sequences. I mean, there is just, you know, he plays the hitman for hire, you know, that has been since retired in this community of hitmen. Probably the movie or the one particular scene of this movie that made me just go, why didn't I watch this movie sooner? Because I would tell you, it's only been in the last 2 years that I've seen all 3 movies. That I don't know why I hadn't gotten to watch it sooner, but is when after they've, you know, killed his dog and stolen his car.
Spoiler.
It's been how
It
many
happens
years?
Pretty early in the movie.
Did you guys
Is
Deadpool's made fun of it already. We're all right.
exactly. No, is the scene, which doesn't even have Keanu Reeves, but just made me realize and appreciate the movie in general, is the phone call between John Leguizamo and Vigo, I think, whatever, trying with the guy's name. Basically, hey, you hit my son. Yes, I did. Why? Because he killed John Wick's dog and he stole his car, and this big, huge Russian mafia guy's like, oh, click. And just like, I accept that you hit my son because he screwed with the wrong guy.
The line of the decade might be in this movie here, where it's John Wick is the guy you send to kill the boogeyman.
Yes.
I love that line. It just sums up everything about the character perfectly. Yeah, it's like what do you pick between the 3? I think all 3 are great.
They're all 3 very solid films.
But I mean, having the first one on here I think it sums up all 3, and eventually our 4th one that we'll get. And I think this movie has to be on this list.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can't tell me that these movies haven't been able to tell Warner Brothers, yep, we're going to make another Matrix movie, or MGM to go, you know, we're finally going to go with that Bill and Ted movie that we've been talking about for 25 years.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Corey, you made a noise. I want to address your noise before I say anything that makes people hate me.
No. I absolutely adore the franchise. I think all of them are quality films. Considering the 2 movies that I will probably end up playing, which will come across as being weirdly pretentious,
We need to have some fun stuff in here for me.
I love big, dumb action. And, oh, boy, howdy do I love myself some John Wick.
If we haven't figured out, that's what my wheelhouse is.
yeah,
Dumb
no.
action.
You're picking
This,
the right
but
ones,
this
though.
is smart action, though. Fast and
it's
Furious is
good.
dumb action. This is smart action.
Andy, what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. I really like John Wick. I think John Wick is fun. Top 10.
You were going to
top-
say that you were going to say something that would make everybody hate you, which
Not everybody hate me. Just I
No one could hate you, Andy.
Yes, they
those are
can.
lies.
Charlie
Those
does.
are lies. Those are lies. Somebody
Just, I think it's just I think John Wick is great. I think the series is great. I think this is the best representation of that series to be on this list. I think we're getting into the point list-wise where it's like, is that really here? Are we putting that here? It's like, I don't want to kick it off because I like John Wick and it deserves to be represented.
Because if anybody's going to get
Man.
vetoed, they're going to pick on me.
Well, I don't want to pick on you, Brian. I like you. I want to pick on Blake. But the thing is, I like all of us, so I don't want to pick on anybody except for Charlie because Charlie sucks. But
The way you said that, I can't even come back.
right?
Okay.
But no, this is it's such a good movie, and it's such a fun action movie, and it's just it's one of those where it's like, yeah, this movie really injected a whole lot of life into a genre that was starting to feel typical, stayed very, very tried and true.
And I think the brilliant thing about the film is it creates a character that you can't empathize with because he's a hitman.
Yeah.
But then you give him a reason for why he's getting back into it that everyone can empathize with. You killed my animal. My love, the one true joy that I had left in this world. You killed that. The entire audience wants to see him get his bloody revenge.
Yeah.
It was a cute dog.
It was a
I
very
know.
cute dog.
Well, even if it wasn't a cute dog, if
It's
it,
still
even if
a
it was like
dog.
the world's
You don't do
ugliest
that.
dog with the tongue hanging out, and the ear missing an ear, it
Might be a
doesn't
little
matter.
questionable. Just kidding.
No,
Right.
You let that dog live. Yeah, I think John Wick is a lot of fun. I think it's a really good movie, and I'm not going to veto it. For me, because I'm a snob, it's like top 10, but cool. I
Who did
think
you
it's
think
great.
Brian was going to play?
I don't
You do
know.
understand that when I'm going through my picks, I immediately thought of Andy, the film snob. What can I pick otherwise?
Then I just have to go. I just got to go hard with the other two picks that I get. Then
All right. Well, let's keep the list moving here, you guys. We've got number 8 coming up. Casey.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. At number 8, Casey has played Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Yeah, Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, written, directed by Dan Gilroy. This is about a man. He's basically you find out throughout the movie he is very much a sociopath, and throughout the movie he's trying to figure out his place in Los Angeles, where he's going to fit in, what job he's going to take next, and he eventually takes up video reporting, and he buys this crappy camcorder and starts filming accidents and different things in Los Angeles that he can then sell to the news. And throughout the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal just descends into the most unlikable human being ever. You hate this guy, but because of his performance and I would say the dark comedy that is also in the movie, you also kind of like watching this guy, even though he is a horrible human being.
He's push the whole thing,
Yeah, and he keeps pushing it the entire movie. You're like, what is he going to do next? And what I love about this movie is that it's set in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is gross in this movie. It's still beautiful,
in real life, actually, too.
but when you look at
LA's
Hollywood,
pretty disgusting.
But when you look at Hollywood movies, it's Los Angeles is the place to be. It's the bright lights. It's everything glitz and glam. And this movie's just gross. Yeah. Like it makes you feel gross. Like you never want to live in Los Angeles after watching this movie. And Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, delivers the performance of his career in this movie. He's just not Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie. He's completely this character, Louis Bloom, and I just love everything about it because it is following a character that, you can't like, but because of the performance and the writing and the directing, you still want to watch every single thing he does.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, great movie. It's a great movie. That was another one that I think the year it came out, I was like, how is it that no one in a position of award-giving authority realizes just how great Jake Gyllenhaal is in this movie? It's an unhinged performance, and
It's because the Academy Awards don't matter.
I know that. I know.
Bless
They're
you.
still fun. But yeah,
I think it got best original
They should be using it on
screenplay
5-year cycle.
nom, but that was it. Yeah.
no, this is a good pick. Really
It
cool
is.
movie. Really good movie.
Yeah.
This will be the second time that I agree with Andy tonight, which is weird. I think that's
very strange.
I don't mean to butt in.
Something's in your energy drink, I think.
It's a Diet Coke.
Oh, whatever. There was a koozie, right?
You didn't hear me being total Uncle Charlie on Brian earlier. Like, you should drink more water, Brian.
I only pay half attention to you.
But no, I agree with you guys. I think Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in this movie is one of my favorites in a movie in a very long time. And very few movies have come up with that performance since. So
It's the movie that has stuck with me the most this decade after watching in an empty theater with no one else. No one went to watch this movie. And it's one that you have to see. And I don't know why no one went to see it.
I don't know.
But
Casey, are you sure I wasn't there? Sitting right behind you.
You might have
the
been
back.
lurking with your video camera. Just like
How long
this is the
afterwards
two
did it come
of
out?
them
Did
and
you
their
see
story
it?
of their friendship.
I saw it the second weekend out.
Yeah, it wasn't a big movie.
Yeah.
Well, it was big enough. If there's one thing I remember from it is because it was not too long before that's when the Century redid their theater and the XD came out. Because it was one of the first ones I saw they had an XD where I went, that doesn't seem like an XD big in your face kind of movie. I'm curious as if he was in there by himself, why would the Century put it in the biggest
Because
screen?
it is an XD type of movie.
Yeah.
The way to watch it is on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah.
All right. It seems like everybody's in agreement. Number 8, Nightcrawler.
Better car movie than Fast 5.
All right, let's go to Andy, number 7.
Let's get snobby.
Oh, wait, we haven't gotten to my picks, so.
It's okay. Brian has number 2. We'll be all right.
Number
Yeah,
7. Andy has played The Master.
Big surprise there.
So for years, Joaquin Phoenix had been cast in movies. People loved him. He played Johnny Cash. People just adored everything he did. I sat back and I was like, he's fine, I guess. And then he teamed up with Paul Thomas Anderson and Philip Seymour Hoffman and did this movie that is basically kind of a fictionalized version of the foundations of Scientology. And holy cow, the performance that Joaquin Phoenix gives in this movie is just, it kind of laid the groundwork for me to appreciate everything he's done ever since. This is a story of kind of a man who is disconnected from the world and is kind of a scumbag, to be honest with you. He's just had a rough life, and I think that is because of the life that he's had. He's a product of that life that he had leading up to this. And he gets involved with this very charismatic cult leader, very charismatic author, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Who is in no way based off of L. Ron
Who is
Hubbard.
in no way, shape, or form based off of L. Ron Hubbard. And nothing in this is about Dianetics. Where he kind of feels like he has a purpose for once in his life. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, the thing that made this film stand out for me is I call it the interrogation scene. It's not interrogation. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman challenging Joaquin Phoenix to react to whatever he has to say. And it's just these two fantastic actors rattling off this dialogue, going right at each other. And that is where it stood out to me that I was like, this is something really special. The Master is beautifully filmed. It's from one of, I think, our generation's great storytellers, great directors, Paul Thomas Anderson. I think this movie is just absolutely phenomenal. And I kind of wonder if you guys think I put this higher than you expected.
I thought it'd go like 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah, I thought it'd be your last pick.
Yeah, there's one movie I like more than this one. And I'll play that later. But I love this movie, and I think it's absolutely spectacular. It's slow. It's a slow burn. So, I mean, if you're looking for an exciting thrill a minute for 3 hours, you're not going to find it here. But I think really great storytelling, that's what you find with The Master.
This is the one movie I knew was going to be on the list. Just period. I think we all have a number one in mind, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be played, and we'll still see if it'll be played. But The Master is the one because us 4 other guys know Andy, and we know he loves The Master. And I mean, we haven't even brought up The Master in the movie, Amy Adams.
Yes,
who's fantastic.
Oh my
in the
God,
movie.
Amy Adams is just incredible in this movie. She is. When she started her acting career, she just seemed so meek, such a meek kind of presence. And it just, how she evolved into just this powerful being, and I think that really works to her advantage, that she is just such a powerful force, because I don't think when you look at her you expect that, and she's remarkable, just remarkable in this movie, remarkable in another movie that I hope one of you guys play, but I don't know if it's going to happen. She is really one of our underrated, underappreciated performers. I think
I
she's
absolutely
great.
adore Amy Adams.
Yeah,
I've loved her since the movie Junebug.
Yep,
So, and then of course I love the movie Enchanted too.
Yes.
I'm a little Disney princess on the inside, so
That's how you know. Yeah.
oh, that movie is fantastic.
Wonderful
So-
movie.
No, Amy Adams is one of my favorite
Disney
actors. I
princess
think
over
she
there.
is one of the few people that gets out alive from. Never mind. We're gonna. That movie with Christian Bale and Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, American Hustle.
Yeah. I think she's the only one that actually gives a
Good
good
performance.
performance.
Yeah, one that's not a caricature.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
And it sounds like she's the one that ended up getting the most wrath from the director. So it's good that she's still stuck in the game.
That's right.
All right, so before we get into the top 5, we've got our number 6 pick. Corey, what are you going to play?
Oh, speaking of Jennifer Lawrence.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Hunger Games Mockingjay.
Part 2.
Mockingjay.
All right, he is going to play Mother at number 6.
Yes. And this is a movie that could easily be vetoed, and I think it probably will end up. It is a movie that is intended to make you feel uncomfortable and anxious and angry. It is a retelling of the Bible through this writer who is basically secluding he and his wife away from society while he tries to create his masterpiece of a book as his wife slowly goes insane. She's pregnant. They invite a bunch of people over to the house. It ends in chaos. I don't know. It's a very slow burn up until the end, but there is only one other movie from this past decade that visually has impacted me more. And okay, this is a funny story. If you have seen the film, okay, one of my friends, his name is Steve. He is a psychiatrist, and he is a lovely human being, but he's also kind of an idiot.
I hope you're listening, Steve.
My friend decided while his wife was pregnant, because he's a huge Darren Aronofsky fan, so am I. Well, what's our Friday night entertainment? I'm going to take my pregnant wife to see the movie Mother. Let's say
No.
his wife did not enjoy her experience. She had not given birth yet.
That makes me more uncomfortable than the movie Mother made me.
There are moments in the film that if you have not given birth yet might be a little bit, shall we say, problematic. So yeah, it is a movie that I personally love as much as one can love a thing that has so much glass that you can't even hug it. That is how I feel about Mother.
It's hard to describe without giving away what happens.
Yes,
But it goes to some dark places.
it does.
Yeah.
It's almost like Aronofsky gravitates toward dark places.
He works the best, in my opinion, which my favorite movies of his are probably Pi, Requiem for a Dream, and Mother. Mm-hmm. I don't like Black Swan all that much. But when his movies get really dark and very atmospheric and very confrontational, I mean, come on. One of the films ends with a guy drilling his own head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I respond to. And I think that's what movies should be. I mean, if you want to just tell a story, write a book, make a song, give me an image that stays in my head. And there are images in that film that will be ingrained in my mind, in my being, in my soul for the rest of my days.
As a new father, I can agree with one image that I will never forget.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I haven't
All right.
seen it, I guess.
I want to hear Andy's thoughts because
Yeah,
I think
as
he's
do
been
I.
a little tense sitting over here while Corey's
Oh,
talking about Mother.
No, I like this movie. I just think it's I can just imagine. I mean, to be a pregnant woman sitting there watching this movie happen, it would be mortifying. I'd be like, you know what? Nah, I can't do this. I think I'm done. I think I'm out. No,
Back with the Disney film.
Yeah, let's
bring it down.
Where is the Princess and the Frog?
Let's just play
playing?
Jack and Jill already.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about this movie. I actually really like. It's tough to say that. I really like this movie, but it does not make you feel good by saying that you really like this movie. Really respect this movie and think it's well done. It's one that after I was done watching it, when I left the theater, it stuck with me for days. And people were like, "What'd you think of it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can't recommend it to you." But
Well, how can you love something that doesn't love you back?
yeah, that seems like it's very fair.
To do that, but
That's a good point.
So true.
We can talk about that outside of the podcast, guys, for hours.
Yeah, I'm not gonna veto this pick. It's a good choice.
Yeah, I'm glad Corey played it because I think it needs to be on this list. It was written in my stack.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of my top 20 movies of the decade.
It's
so
the
I'm
only
glad
movie
Corey
that
played it.
I've been to in the theaters this year, in the last decade, that I watched people physically get up and walk out of. It does make you that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's recap real quick. We are on to our top 5. Before we get there, number 20, again, Edge of Tomorrow. Number 19, Raid Redemption. Number 18, It Follows. 17, we've got Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Number 16, Call Me Lucky. Number 15, What We Do in the Shadows. Number 14, Carol. 13, Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping. Number 12, Fast 5. Number 11, Parasite. And then just coming up on the top 10, we've got Under the Skin at number 10. Number 9 is John Wick. Number 8, Nightcrawler. We've got number 7, The Master, and number 6 just played as Mother. So we are getting into our top 5 movies of the decade. We've got a couple of vetoes left. We've got 4 of them left here at this point. So this is where everything gets very interesting, to say the least. But we are going to start with Corey, who gets to pick number 5.
Who would have thought there'd be a list with Parasite and Andy Samberg?
there we go. It is not bad CGI sharks. But it is another one that could possibly be vetoed.
Sharknado 5.
I personally, this is my number 1 film of the decade. And I also think that this is probably, without getting too terribly political, before he even announces the title, I think it's the most important film of the decade.
All right, number 5. Corey has played Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You is a movie about a guy that has realized that his life has essentially been meaningless, and because he doesn't have the things that you're supposedly supposed to have in order to live the American dream. So he decides to go and become a member of a call center where basically you are turned into a number or something else in order to keep capitalism going. And it is about how a human being can work within a system that has no need for human beings, and how you can actually deal with that. And in my opinion, it is the closest that something has come to. There are movies in my life that I have personally just responded to. Do the Right Thing is just an angry statement about the world. I think Bamboozled is an angry statement about the world. And I think Sorry to Bother You, while being brutally funny, is also an insanely brutal statement about what how we can live in a world that doesn't want us as human beings. And I don't want to give too much away, and I don't want to make it sound like the movie is not funny. It is very funny whenever when Danny Glover first puts on his white voice. I think that is one of the most insanely
For the
funny.
people listening, he did put that in quotations.
Yes. It is one of the most memorable scenes from the film that does not involve spoilers.
Yeah.
So,
And I love the pairings of the white voices to him and to Lakeith Stanfield.
Patton Oswalt, David Cross.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, how does everybody feel about Sorry to Bother You at number 5?
I love this movie.
I wouldn't have it on the list, but it's not a bad movie. It's a very good movie.
You just didn't like the twist ending.
No, I do like the I like the movie a lot. It didn't resonate with me as much as it did with Cory, and maybe somebody else up here too.
I'm in the same boat as you. I like this movie. I don't think I enjoyed it as much the first time I saw it, and then when I watched it again, I liked it quite a bit more. But I still have that twist is just a little much for me.
I think that's the point, though.
Yeah,
I think
that's
exactly
the purpose of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to hit some people one way and hit other people's another. And I think for me, it just was kind of like, oh, maybe we could. But there are other movies that are like that do the same thing. I think Brazil, for instance, is one that just it pushes it so far, and you're either on board with the way it pushes it, or you're not. And this is one that, unfortunately for me, it didn't resonate as much. But I'm not even gonna kick this one off the list because I think this is a movie that's saying something, and I think when we have stuff like Pop Star and Fast Five,
And Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, ones that don't, that just say, hey, you need some more popcorn, man. I think it's important to have ones that say something. So
Well, and for me, knowing who the director is makes me Boots Riley, who comes from political hip hop.
yeah.
To know that how this even ended makes me go, if you're going to make an alternate reality-ish statement of the human culture, it makes perfect sense. Was it a twist I was expecting? Not at all.
Yeah.
But I will absolutely take it.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job of, for basically being his first feature.
Yeah.
To say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a statement, and he does.
I'm surprised that this movie didn't get any nays. Get it? Nays.
I did think
You
about
know
putting
what?
Nay
On
on
second
here.
thought, because of that joke, Cory, no.
I want Cory's laugh on a soundbite, like just to play, because I work in a call center, just to play randomly now for me, just to bring me joy.
I'm Shy Ronnie.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go. We are in our top 5. We got to go to number 4, which is Andy's pick.
Hold on, just a second. No, here you can have it. Oh, would you? I wasn't. All right, I'm gonna play my favorite.
You gonna destroy one of your babies?
Yeah, one that I think should be on
Mother
here
already did that.
may not be on this list. Yeah, that's good.
All right.
True.
At number 4, Andy has played The Social Network.
Yes.
I love this movie. I think this is a smartly written, brilliantly composed film about. Okay, so let's take it back to 2010 when this movie was released. This was like, oh wow, that thing we all love. There's a movie about that thing that we all love, and we get to see, oh, maybe how it came together was kind of shady. Well, but I still love this thing so much. Now we're in 2019, where this thing that we love so much is kind of crappy, and everything about the foundation of it just kind of adds more fuel to the fire, and it has become so important, like such a piece of our lives. So The Social Network is about the foundation of Facebook and about how Mark Zuckerberg took this idea and made it as this massive thing. And the way that he did so, as depicted in the movie, is by taking ideas from other people and putting them together with his own to make it this massive social network. I think the performances in this movie from Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Blondie, tall Blondie, Armie Hammer. I just think it's just such a
Playing twins, by the way.
playing twins.
Yes.
I just think it's such a indictment, especially looking back on it now. This is a movie that I would like to have the team get together again and make a sequel of what The Social Network is for us now. Will that ever happen? I don't think so, because there's some things going on there. But I just think that this movie is super smart. This movie is my absolute favorite movie of the decade. It grabbed that spot right out of the gate, and it has not lost a step. I think this is one that is still just as smart, with a wonderful score. Talking about scores, with the wonderful score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. This is the one that just really showed that film scores is something that they can do really well. So I love The Social Network. Number 4 on this list. Number 1 in my heart.
I would like to point out that I find it very humorous that we go from Cory to you. We literally have an Armie Hammer link right in the next one.
Yeah. Somebody
So,
that
Casey?
you wouldn't think to pop up in multiple movies on this
Casey?
list.
Get ready
Because
for
the
Lone Ranger, number 3.
number 1.
You already know what you should play at number 3 then, right, brother?
All right, how does
calling
everybody
you by
feel
your
about
name,
The
bro.
Social Network at number 4?
I think it's a good solid pick.
Solid at number 4?
It's one of the ones that came through when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to put through, because it is probably one of my favorite movies from 2010.
It probably represents the decade the best too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is ironic because it came out. It was one of the first big movies that came out in
defined
the decade.
decade. Yeah.
And Justin Timberlake has made her list twice now.
Oh, JT and Armie Hammer. How about that?
Double deuce. All right.
All right, let's go on to number 3.
Okay. This is because I'm going to trust one of these two here to play the number 1 movie of the decade.
No, it's not coming from me.
Furious 7.
At number 3, Casey has chosen Sing Street.
Sing Street. So this movie is the movie that has hit me the most in my heart, because it is a story about, it's set in the late 80s Dublin, Ireland, and it is about this high school boy. He's just transferred to this all boys, I believe it's a Catholic school, and there he finds this girl that lives like right across the street from the school and falls in love with her, and to impress her he starts a band, as all young high schoolers do, to impress a girl, and in doing so he finds that he just, on top of using music to impress this girl, he also finds his love of music. And throughout the movie, Jack Rayner plays his older brother, and he is so good in this movie. Like, it might be one of my favorite performances of the decade from him, because this movie is about growing up, and it is about the high school experience and coming of age, but it is ultimately about brotherhood. And I think that is such a strong thing to have in a movie, because if you look at it, it's the love story that you always follow, or the family as a whole. But looking at just an older brother and a younger brother together, like, I just love seeing that, because I am an older brother, and it just hit me emotionally that this is the story that it is. And Jack Rayner plays the older brother that he was also a musician but never could make it. He was always the wannabe musician, could never fully make it as that, and he teaches his younger brother about the great music of the time. And just on the way here, I actually rewatched the final scene from the movie, and I almost started tearing up, because the first time I watched it, I did legitimately start crying, because it's that good and an emotional a beat in the movie. And rewatching it again, just sitting in my car, I was almost crying, because it's that great. And Also, the soundtrack is fantastic. I think it's the soundtrack, along with Popstar, that I've listened to the most from this decade, and all the music is great. It was, again, if we're talking Oscar snubs, as we did with Jake Gyllenhaal earlier, this movie should have won Best Original Song, because La La Land and Ryan Gosling's Mumbling should not have won. Any of the songs from Sing Street should have won this year. But yeah, Sing Street is... Maybe it's. I think my favorite will hopefully come up of the decade later from these two, but this is top 5 for sure for me of the decade.
All right. How does everybody else feel?
You're so personally connected to it, Casey, that it's hard for me to.
I'll do it. I'll veto it.
Okay.
This is a great movie, by the way, but not
It is.
top 5 of
It's
the decade for me.
it's such a good movie. What is the something like You Sold It? That song is great. It's God, it breaks this. I knew that this friggin' countdown was gonna
I'm
break
okay
your
being a
heart
bad
somewhere.
guy. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I'll let you do it because it's a good movie, Casey.
It is a great movie.
All right.
Now, I think at this moment in time, since Casey is so personally connected to the movie, I think Blake needs to explain himself.
Yeah,
Why-
I agree with you.
It's a
Why
great
did you
movie.
veto it?
Great music. It's just like ultimately, it's not one of the great movies of the decade.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
Okay.
You're not gonna like this pick though either.
Well, somebody else has a veto too. So
I don't think they'll use it.
There's still 3 left.
We'll see.
I wasn't expecting this one from Casey.
I wasn't either, but he vetoed like my number one. So
Are we going to make it a trilogy now?
let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Chris got a sign ready.
All right.
Then I do not.
you
At
just write
number
that down?
3, Casey has picked Creed 2.
This might be a little slight towards Blake, but I do love Creed 2. And the reason it is on this list, Creed 1 and Creed 2, I think, are both fantastic films. Where I put Creed 2 above it, I guess, in this case, is that
Drago.
it makes you like Ivan Drago, the bad guy from Rocky IV. And the Rocky series is also very personal to me, and it is also the series, like, I rewatched it with my younger brother, and I cried during the Rocky movies.
Not to put myself over, but one of the episodes I got to do with you guys was all about Rocky
Stallone
movies. It was
movies.
Stallone movies because I'm a huge Sylvester Stallone fan.
Who isn't,
And,
actually?
Yeah, right. And I was really I loved how much of our conversation was taken up by talking about the Rocky franchise and how this put a really good ending on the Rocky franchise.
This is like I think the first Rocky is one of the greatest movies ever made, and then Creed 2. Well, first Creed bringing back the Rocky character as the mentor, and Stallone just delivering maybe the performance of his career in that movie. But in this one, it gives such a great bookend to the entire series as a whole. The father-son story throughout it, and finally seeing him reunite with his son that we've grown to see grow up throughout the entire series is great. And like I said, giving empathy to an evil Russian is like impossible. I know Andy or Corey is gonna to veto this, but yeah, I love Creed 2.
And actually, this is going to sound really lame, but Creed 2 has my favorite soundtrack of the decade.
It's a great
That's my
soundtrack.
workout soundtrack. So,
Okay.
all right.
Listen, I'm going to use this. but
I feel a little better right
look,
now.
I don't want to knock the Creed series at all because holy crap, getting Michael B. Jordan to play Adonis Creed, casting genius. He is incredible, and the chemistry, the story here isn't so much, for me at least, whatever Rocky's relationship is with his own son. I know that that's important, but it's the relationship between those two, Rocky and Adonis Creed, that makes this so good. The first one is better for me, and I have a huge personal connection to that. The first Creed came out when my father was going through his battle with cancer, and watching Rocky fight it and recover made me just like, yeah. It was just amazing. I think this is a really solid sequel. As a fun sequel, I think it kind of loses the heft but I think it's a fun movie, and it made me kind of, after I walked out of the theater, I was like, Rocky's one of my favorite franchises. How did that happen? Yeah. How did Rocky become one of my favorite franchises of all time? Like, I love Star Wars. Well, then Rise of Skywalker made me kind of go, okay.
Not quite the bookend that Creed 2 is.
Yeah. I'm going to fight with Charlie again, aren't I? I'm sorry, Charlie.
You're all right.
Okay.
Now.
It's just, for me, as number 3 of the decade, it's tough to put it there. But that's not a knock on that movie at all, because as a sequel to Creed, it's really good. But I had to put the veto down. Sorry, Casey.
All right, so
okay.
You're gonna make me pay.
Casey, keeping in the wrestling tradition, we're gonna team up as a tag team. I refuse to use my veto on you, so you go pie in
for Brian.
go pie in the sky for whatever you want, because it's gonna stay. Yeah.
I still have mine. Just remember.
Oh, that's right. Brian still has it.
And you're the only veto left besides Brian.
Oh, God.
All right, Casey, you get another shot at number 3. This is your third shot at number 3.
Doesn't feel so good, does
I know.
it?
Do I want to make it 4 and have Brian veto this one?
You might want to save a veto for my number 1 pick, just an FYI.
I always save the veto for the number 1 pick.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
Especially
when Blake's
we got to
involved.
get this move, and this will stay.
Speed 3.
John Wick 2.
Number 3.
Terminator Dark Fate.
Terminator Genesis, actually.
Salvation. Brian has played.
Casey.
Casey has played Boyhood.
Yes.
That's much better, Casey.
Richard Linklater's Boyhood. It is a 12-year 12-year cinematic journey. It's literally about boyhood. It is about this child growing up, and what makes this movie so special is that each year they took the same cast and crew and actors and filmed them for a couple weeks to show this child growing up and going through childhood all the way up until adulthood. And I think what makes this movie so important for the decade is, one, it is a fantastic achievement to make an entire feature-length film over a 12-year period. But it is also just a great study of this child growing up. Like, we've all gone through childhood. It's something we all know and have fond or maybe not fond memories of, and this movie covers it all. And I knew it wouldn't be vetoed because it's a little more of a prestigious movie than I guess Creed 2.
Friends with snobs, they're gonna like it.
Snobs who vote out Sing Street. But Boyhood, number 3. Why not?
All right. How does everybody feel about Boyhood?
I think the fact.
A great pick. Go ahead. That's all
I was going to say is no, I think it's a great pick, and it definitely goes to show the integrity of the actors he chose for this film, because when I was even looking up this film and whatnot, they can't even be legally contracted for the length it took him to make this film, so he had to go on good faith that they would come back, that they would finish their roles, that he'd be able to complete his movie. So, I mean, the fact that these actors had the faith in the director to make this film as much as he had faith in the actors coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, Boyhood. It's a cinematic achievement. I think Boyhood's good. I don't love it as much as other people do, but I think it's a good movie, and I think it's just the fact that it shows. I feel like when we go through life, we don't really get to see how we change and how we grow. We just do it. And being able to watch this unfold, watch this family evolve, watch this child grow up, I think it really puts it into perspective for all of us that, life flies by, and before we know it, we're 12 years older. So I think there's a lot of importance to Boyhood. So I no arguments with it being on this list.
Okay, I'm gonna make myself known here. Yeah, I think that it's very obvious from what I'm about to say how I feel about the movie. I think it's very important that what everybody mentions about the movie is, oh, well, it took place over 12 years. Isn't that such an achievement? Look at how long the movie took to make. And they don't really talk about what the actual content of the film is, which, as a huge Richard Linklater fan, I think it's kind of in like the middle of his catalog. I would put Sing Street and Creed 2. I think
I would too.
Better movies.
He's running out of options.
I do have another option if you want to use.
No.
your veto.
I mean, I understand it took a long time to make, and it's a movie about childhood that took a long time to make. Isn't that so novel? But
Growing up takes a long time, Corey.
dude, what people? The thing is we just encouraged him to try and make another movie just like that.
But 8 years
He,
longer.
yeah, he wants it a little longer this time.
This one will be 20 years.
Why can't Richard Linklater just go back and make like Slacker or Suburbia or Dazed and Confused or even the Newton Boys? The Newton Boys is better. Wow. And the Newton Boys is not good.
Really?
School of Rock is better, but that's not from this decade.
Suburbia is fantastic.
Oh, School of Rock is fantastic.
You know, I just
But
realized.
it's okay, I guess. Number 3, Boyhood.
Are we
It's a movie
finally
that
going to let
exists.
Casey play
I think
this
we should
game?
have stuck with Sing Street now that I think about it.
I thought so too. Are we leaving it, Corey?
Yeah.
All right.
Ryan?
You only have 2 people left.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, I guess.
All right. Well, it looks like that one's going to stick there. Let's go to our number 2 pick, Brian.
You know the part I like about this? There's not very many videos, left,
I-
and I own one of them.
Oh.
And something probably most people have not even actually seen.
Number
But-
2.
But I would say this, and when looking up my movies and whatnot, this is the highest rated movie of all the films I came across that even 7 years later still has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
All right.
Oh, no.
Number 2
Okay.
is Sound City.
Oh. Okay.
The look on
sounds like the
Blake's
one
face
person who might have
was,
actually
like,
seen it.
The funniest thing.
I've seen it. Number 2.
I think this is a... Really? I think you're just mad because you used your veto early on.
No.
What is it?
I'm mad I
Go
used
ahead.
my veto
Explain
early
the
on.
movie.
And I
The
just
movie
used it.
it's a documentary in regards to Sound City Studios in Van Nuys, California.
I think I've seen it.
This is the studio. It was open from 67 through 2011. It's basically the rise and fall of Sound City. As I made my notes, trying to figure out all the stuff going along with it. So to give you a perspective of the studio and the people that are telling their stories and everything that was of Sound City. Sound City produced over 100 gold and platinum records. And where is it here? So people, for the sake of Cheap Trick, Rick Springfield, Fleetwood Mac, Dio, Rat, Guns N' Roses, Nevermind's, Nirvana's Nevermind was recorded there. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Tool, System of a Down, 9 Inch Nails is written and produced there. It's the man who opened up Sound City. The soundboard that they recorded all this music on was only one of 4 in the entire world. Cost him $75,000 for this soundboard in '67. Cost twice as much as his house. Basically was writing everything on it. And just the stories that these musicians actually discuss in the documentary, give you just an idea of what this studio brought to music over the course of the decades. I did notice that when I was going through my music or my movies and whatnot, there was a lot of movies I was gravitating toward maybe because of soundtracks. This is no exception to the rule because after the documentary got done, by the way, the documentary was directed by a little guy by the name of Dave Grohl. Who outside of this documentary basically has only directed his own music videos. But he took that soundboard and purchased it from them and actually put it in his own studio and recorded a compilation album to go along with this documentary, which, for the sake of the year that it came out, honestly, I think it should have gotten nominations in both song category and just documentary. But the songs that were recorded for this, you look at the mashup of artists that they put together for this here. One of the biggest ones that got radio play here in Sioux Falls was From Can to Can't, which is Corey Taylor of Slipknot, Dave Grohl on drums, and then Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick. Yep. Like, you picture those three just in the same room, and you're just not understanding how that would work, and it's an amazing song. They ended up actually winning a Grammy for Best Rock. How many documentaries are going to win a Grammy for Best Rock song?
How many actual rock songs win Grammys for Best Rock Song?
Touche. But this rock song is...
Jethro Tull, baby.
The rock song is Cut Me Some Slack, which is Dave Grohl, Pat Smear, Chris Novoselic coming out of retirement, and Paul McCartney. So it's basically Nirvana with Paul McCartney on vocals. Stevie Nicks is on the soundtrack, Rick Springfield, Lee Vig from Fear. It's just an overall, it's a soundtrack that for me, from a documentary, that is literally in my rotation all the time.
All right, how does everybody feel about Sound City being at number 2? We've really only got one person who can veto it at this point.
I'm not feeling good about this, Charlie, at all. It's a very good documentary. It's not number 2 of the decade. But I don't have a veto, so
yeah,
it's yeah.
And
Corey sounds like he likes the movie.
And for me, I'm huge into music, and so maybe it resonates better for me.
I was gonna say, I think
I'm a very musically inclined individual.
Yeah, I think because Brian likes music so much, that's why this is kind of.
And
so
I would like
high.
to point out, like I said, out of all the movies that's been talked about so far, it's probably the highest rated.
Semantics.
Yeah, but
Corey,
Corey, what are you doing?
are ya?
It stands.
Oh,
Thank you, Corey.
No, I really dig this movie. It's really fun, and
the story behind it,
the
really.
thing is I think we're putting way too much importance on numbers in this. And to me, I've said this before on other podcasts. I've said it when talking to my friends. I don't think that the number 2 is really what we as a group probably think the number 2 is, but it is a good recommendation list. Mm-hmm. And I know when I worked at a video store, that is something that I tried to, and big shocker, I worked at a video store. I
think everybody but Casey probably did because Casey
what is a
wasn't
video
alive.
store?
isn't that just Netflix? What?
I like the concept of personalized recommendations. Mm-hmm. And this is not somebody putting a movie up there so that, it's just a placeholder. It's something that you feel passionate about. Mm-hmm. I mean, unfortunately, I think because a personal one for Casey, 2 of them were vetoed.
Since we're playing personal stuff, but
we are,
whatever.
We now have Boyhood on a list, and I don't think, but whatever, that's beside the point. Yeah, no, Sound City is great. I love it.
Cool. Great recommendation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Corey's not going to use his veto, which means we are on to our number 1 pick for Blake.
Andy,
but before we do that, let's just go through the top 5 because we've gone through the rest of the list a few times. But at number 5, we have Sorry to Bother You. At number 4, we have The Social Network. At number 3, Boyhood. Number 2, Sound City. So Blake,
Can
it's
I
all
say?
on you.
Can I say something first?
No.
I want to hear what you have to
That's
say.
fair.
Say it.
Go on.
You know how you make a decision in life and you instantly regret it?
Was that video in Casey?
I have regrets.
Regrets?
You should.
Yeah.
You
Here we
can't
go.
take back our whole relationship, Andy.
Here we go.
Blake, there's only one thing that I will say to you. Okay. Either with this movie, you need to be certifiable to play it, or you need to be furious to play it. Either way, I will be cool with it. If it's anything else, okay.
All right.
I just, yeah.
I think this is the obvious number 1.
I don't trust you ever saying that.
At number 1, after all this time, Blake has decided to play Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
Are we happy or not?
I'm okay with that.
I can breathe.
Okay. Mad Max Fury Road is one of the few movies that came out this decade that you could say is an instant classic. A movie with more balls and grit and violence than anything that's come out. George Miller made the entire Mad Max series and returned 30 years later with probably easily the best of the series and arguably the best action movie ever made, period. The movie is literally a 2-hour chase scene. There's maybe a 5-minute break, but it's balls to the wall, and it was nice to see like this veil of maybe like deception where you think Mad Max is the hero, but it's really Charlize Theron who's the one who saves the day and is the strong hero. So it's nice to see this idea that we think that men are maybe like the strong ones, but it's really the women who are really taking the world by storm. And I watch this movie every year, and it gets better and better. For me, we kind of discussed it a little bit. It's a movie we all really just love. Yeah. And I wasn't going to blow up the list. So.
I was nervous.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to play something else, and then hopefully someone vetoed it.
And
I actually didn't trust Cory to veto it, and then it was stuck. Right. So
What were you thinking of playing?
I was going to play Twin Peaks: The Return.
I wouldn't have vetoed that. No.
That's exactly why I didn't play it. And the reason why I didn't play it was because it's technically a TV show, even though the director itself considers it a film. So I didn't play it.
Seriously, who's going to sit down for 18 hours straight and watch something on a big screen?
Well, it did play in theaters, but Mad Max is the movie of the decade, easily for me.
And who would ever thought that we'd say that about a Tom Hardy movie?
Yeah, I don't like Tom Hardy, but
but you're right. It's Charlize Theron's the one that carries that film, not him.
Beautiful to look at, this movie. Just so incredible with its action choreography. I think this is just an awesome movie. It was one. We mentioned it. We didn't do a lot of talking about the movies that we were thinking about choosing, but this is one where it's like, if this one ends up at the top of the list, I don't think anybody's gonna be mad. No. I don't think anyone will be upset
or furious.
Or furious. Guys, come on now. I think it's just such a fun movie, and I think when from the moment it came out, it was just like, holy crap, this is something special.
I definitely recommend that when watching at home, give the Chrome Black and Chrome edition. Watch it in a black and white. Definitely.
Yeah. Or if you don't have the black
dynamic.
and Chrome version, just turn the color off on your TV, and you save some money too. So I think
we can all breathe a sigh of relief that this is number one because we have, as we've been preparing for this show, we keep referring to that movie. That's that movie, and hit it at number one. I think most of us probably had it at number one, if not top 5, at least top 20 for all of us.
Not Cory, it looks like.
No, I absolutely adore the movie, and I'm a huge George Miller fanboy. I mean, except for maybe, and I do enjoy the movie, but I'd say probably my least favorite movie of his is probably Happy Feet. But Babe Pig in the City, I think, is a masterpiece.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I think his segment in the Twilight Zone movie is the best out of all of them, even though I love Joe Dante. Mad Max Fury Road, do I think that it is the number one movie of the decade? No, but do I think that it is a movie that could represent the decade as a whole? Yeah, because we just rushed right through it. And it was painful, and it was ugly, and it was deserted. But we all kind of had a lot of fun, and we got real sad.
What movies do you guys think on this that did not pop on the list that you think should be on here? And I'm going to we'll start with Andy.
As Andy
how
goes.
excited he is.
All right, listen, I was going to ask. I was like, do we get to read what we still have in our hand? Because for me, that's...
I think quickly we should just go through
I'll go through these really fast. Moonlight should be on this list. Get Out should be on this list. I think that up in the higher 10, I think Into the Spider-Verse is deserving of being on here somewhere. Arrival with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. I think one of the other South Korean movies that I had in here for a higher pick was I Saw the Devil. It's a violent movie that's not pretty for anybody to watch,
How many
but it's
cards
awesome.
did you make?
I used all of them, Charlie.
He had his
I
own
got
top
2
20.
cards for all of your intros and social media, and you're here with your giant Sharpie. Like,
Charlie, get out. Charlie, listen, here's the thing. We've been talking about this for months. You just walk in here and be like, oh, I'm going to host the show. Blah, blah, blah. We've been planning this, Charlie. Short Term 12 with Brie Larson.
Yes.
I think that's a great movie. And then the last one I had in my hand was Inside Llewyn Davis from the Coen brothers.
All right, Corey.
Okay, these are the ones that I had that I did not play. Swiss Army Man, which I think is a beautiful film and a great directorial debut from the Daniels. The Comedy, which is a movie that is very much not fun for anybody to watch. And it's all about, it's like Nightcrawler if the main character were somehow more unlikable. It's about a guy that just absolutely learns absolutely nothing about himself, and in some ways becomes a worse person towards the end. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yes. Which is the one that when you played Anna versus the Apocalypse, that was the one that I kind of set aside because I think they're kind of similar, even though Tucker and Dale versus Evil is
better.
A considerably better movie. And I think that this director, and his name escapes me right now, should be represented. And this is the movie of his that I think best represents him. And it is Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Dragged Across Concrete
It's
is
Craig
a fantastic.
Zoller.
Yeah.
It's a solid movie. I think Bone Tomahawk is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But Cell Block is
So fun.
it is just so brutal. It is the movie that Hobo with a Shotgun wanted to be. It is the movie that Death Proof and Planet Terror wanted to be. And it's full on 70s exploitation, brutal grindhouse, but with a sense of storytelling that a lot of those movies, other than Fight for Your Life, didn't have. So, yeah. Brawl and Cell. Oh, and Certified Copies. Certified Copies is a really good movie, too.
Yep.
All right.
Casey?
All I'll say is there's no Marvel movie on here, which is surprising.
Thank God.
Did you expect
And
us to
no-
play one?
Cool.
I predicted one for you, yes.
I almost played it at 3, but yeah.
You don't have any other?
I almost played Guardians of the Galaxy.
Volume 2. Yes, I almost did.
Brian, what are some of your...
Yeah.
Where the heck does so much else go anyway? I did, for the sake of Edgar Wright films, I did consider Baby Driver for a very solid, down-to-earth film because everything else that he'd done is way over the top. Huh?
I think if we were going to play an Edgar Wright movie, we played the right one.
Endgame. Avengers Endgame was also something I thought about just because that was the culmination of literally a decade's worth of films, and that is easily, between that and Infinity War, both films that it could have easily been absolute train wrecks for as much as they had going on. I can't imagine the scheduling. Whoever the producer was that had to work on schedules is probably in an insane asylum right about now. One of the other ones that I did was thinking of was Burning.
Yeah.
For another Korean film. Absolute standout performance by Stephen Yeun of The Walking Dead. My B list, if you will. Ryan Johnson's Looper, because I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt did an amazing job. Yeah. For the sake of time travel, it's one of the few that actually tries to keep the formula perfect. I'm sorry to bother you. I already had on there. Social Network. I contemplated doing this one here because he's over here being anyway. Get Out, Django Unchained, Dallas Buyers Club. Was a good solid film from Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. Ex Machina. which I think has outstanding performances, much better performances out of Oscar Isaac and Donald Gleason than Star Wars does. And then I contemplated doing Booksmart just to annoy the crap out of Casey because he does not like that film.
I'm with Casey on that one.
It's not very good.
Yeah, it wasn't one of my favorites.
I almost wanted to play it after he vetoed me because then he couldn't veto me again.
All right, Blake, what else did you have?
I had Spy with Melissa McCarthy. I think is the funniest movie of the decade.
I love that movie.
This movie has sunken with me a little bit, but I still love Drive.
Yeah.
Was that okay? What I thought about that movie when you guys were asking me to be on this, was that in this decade? I thought it was 2009. Okay,
11.
Yeah, it's 2011.
I had Killer Joe from William Friedkin. I think is a great movie. Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which blows the original out of the water.
No Denny movie on the
I
list
know,
at all.
I know. And then I had 13 Assassins, which is
Oh yeah.
if Mad Max didn't exist, this would be the best action movie of the
I
decade.
kind of want to. Can I throw one at you guys just because I don't think there was something on this list that came close to this, but I wanted to throw Coco out there.
Yeah.
I dig Coco quite a bit.
Yeah,
so.
I thought there we go. Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, somebody was gonna play it.
My longer short list had Inside Out and How to Train Your Dragon both on there
Okay.
as well.
Your long short list?
Well, listen, I had a lot of different lists trying to get ready for this.
Yeah, Coco was one that, like, I mean, if we're talking about, I know I wasn't playing, but like an emotional movie, and on top of that, just visually spectacular.
Really great.
It just goes to show how far Pixar has come since '95.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if it says anything, my initial list of things that I was always seriously considering until today has 85 movies on it.
Yep.
Right.
Some of them were played, some of them were not. So
I do want to echo Corey. Certified Copy is a great movie.
yeah, and I also think Call Me by Your Name is also fantastic. Maybe not one of the best of the decade, but yeah, that out of all of the ones that didn't get played, I'd say maybe Shoplifters. Has anyone else here Shoplifter?
Yep, Shoplifters is
I don't
great.
shoplift now.
Yeah.
Well, this you guys, I think we could talk all night here for
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
guys.
Let's wrap this thing
But
up.
best place to find out more
wanna go
about their
home?
lists and what they're going to recommend is to follow them on social media. We'll get that here in just a second. But we got some prizes that we're giving away. When you guys came in here, we had you sign that clipboard. First off, before we get into the prizes here, you got to give it up to all 5 of these gentlemen. They worked very, very hard to get this whole event together. So please give them a round of applause. Want to give
You gonna do the dance?
another big shout out to Last Stop and White Wall here. You guys, we would not be able to do this in such a great venue without them.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike out there. Thank you very much. I want to give Kat another shout out, the JY6 Foundation. Thank you guys. Make sure to grab some literature. For those of you guys who don't know, with my involvement with SiouxperCon being the director, I've actually asked Brian to be on staff with me at SiouxperCon as well. I think Brian's passion for the things that he has passion for is really going to lend well to what we do over there. Make sure to just follow our social media. I won't do a whole lot of plugging for them here. You guys will be seeing us throughout the year, but Andy might have a little bit of involvement, so we're going to peek a little bit behind the curtain
It's
here.
a secret, but maybe.
There might be some a little bit of involvement, but I was surprised at how much I agreed with Andy today. I think the biggest thing that I'm happy you said was about Trent Reznor's score on the social network.
It's
I
a
was so happy
fantastic
about
score.
that. So Andy, I think I owe you an apology
Wait, what?
of all things.
Wait, what?
I think I owe you. Don't make me say it twice, Andy. I'm sorry for the last 6 months. I'm
Charlie.
very sorry.
Charlie,
So, though I stole your childhood from you,
you did a little bit.
I did a lot of it.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And Andre got to spend Christmas with the Eccles household and got to ride on the back of my dog Chester.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cute, though.
I'm going to give this back. to you.
Just hug already.
Charlie!
Big old bear hug.
No, I'll tell you what we got to do, because, wrestling.
Wrestling. Are we gonna?
It's the mega powers.
Yeah. There it is. Back to you.
Oh. Round of applause.
For now.
All right, I'm going to peek you guys behind the curtain on this. When Andy and I would text each other, we'd be like, feud on. You suck. You suck. And
Feud
then
off.
we'd say feud off. Hey, have you
was
considered
cool,
doing this?
Charlie.
This was cool.
Should we do this? It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Feud on. I don't like
Feud
you,
on, I don't
Charlie.
like you. But Andy's going to be helping out with a few things, and we've got some things in the works. We won't give a whole lot of things, but Andy will have some involvement with SuperCon as well. Backlot 605 had involvement with SuperCon last year as well. Cory, I would love to have you out there as well. I mean, that's the door's open for you, my friend.
Okay.
But that's my little plug for everything here. These guys they've done a lot of work in this community to get people talking about film. And I think that's really important. We can talk about all kinds of different things, but this little genre is really important for these five. So you really got to give it up to these guys for trying to stick to their community and trying to not only stick with their community, but encourage involvement in their community, which I think is ever important in this competitive world. These guys could have said, oh, well, Fat Dude Digs Flicks sucks. We should listen to our podcast. They didn't. They all came together for this one. They've all got their individual shows, and they're all promoting it. So I think the world needs a little bit more of that, guys. And you guys are really doing the work, even just in our small community. So I got to put you over there. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
absolutely. But before we leave and we've got some prizes. We're going to start with some digital codes, some digital downloads. So the person who was drawn, Darren Hines. There you go, Darren.
Oh. There is a lot of digital codes in there.
That was a thick
lot of
envelope.
movies.
That was a thick envelope. All right, and our first of 2 gift cards here to Last Stop, Dottie Orth.
All right.
All right.
Hey.
Charlie, it's Dodie.
I'm so sorry.
To be honest, I didn't even know you were even here.
All right, and I'm going to be very bad with this last name, but Last Stop gift card number 2, Daryl Lidrica?
I think you
Yeah.
I
left.
wonder if that was the guy
I think
that
he
left.
took off. We might have to...
Somebody had to leave here for us, so we
yeah.
might have to
He was
draw
the
a
one-
new
he was the one
name.
with the little girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we might have to draw a new name on that one, Casey.
Yell it. Just pick one.
Which
All
means I
right.
win.
So, again, my name is Charlie Eccles. I am a local professional wrestling commentator, and you can make sure to follow SuperCon and everything that we're going to be doing this next year. SuperCon will be at the Convention Center on September 11th, 12th, and 13th this year. We will be making some announcements here in these next couple of months. I will say that here in the next week or two, we will have vendor applications opened up here, too. So anybody who's hoping to get their name out there as if you're independent, especially doing art, if you're doing anything in the nerd culture, we will have vendor applications and Artist Alley applications opening up here very soon, and you will be dealing directly with Brian, and that'll be very, very cool to see. But we'll have other things coming up as everything goes on. Follow my social media on Instagram and Twitter at WrestlingVoice1. And why don't we start with Cory? Why don't you go ahead and plug yourself, brother?
Yeah, really the only place that I am active, well, I haven't been for the last month, but is Somewhat Random Movie Collection on Instagram. I randomly post reviews, what I've bought. I have a massive collection, more than probably any
Human being.
normal human being should have. I have a problem, and it makes me sad. And I share that with the world. Yay! And pretty pictures.
All right, Andy.
It hurts my heart that Cory has more movies than I do. Like, for the longest time, I was like, oh, I got a pretty big collection. And then Cory and Derek back there. I'm
Do
just
not
like,
let
you know
that
what?
hurt
You know
make
what?
you
I got
buy
nothing.
more.
I know. That's what it's going to do. And my girlfriend's going to hate it.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you can follow me, Fat Dude Digs Flicks. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My podcast, Fat Dude Digs Flicks, is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, all of wherever you can find your podcasts. I'm currently wrapping up a Star Wars miniseries. Next week will be a roundtable episode with clips from everyone I've had as a guest and a special guest, maybe. We'll see if I get that clip. Charlie?
Oh yeah, no, I'll get it to you. Don't
like I
worry.
totally
We'll
forgot.
get it here.
But yeah.
I didn't forget. Sorry.
Wrapping up the Star Wars saga before it transition into the new era of the podcast, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, please follow, enjoy, join the conversation.
All right, and the boys from Backlot 605. I'll let all of you guys kind of go through your spiel.
Yeah, so you can find Backlot 605, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you find podcasts. You can find us, backlot605.com. You can find all our latest movie news, reviews, discussions, anything there. And I think the most important thing we have to plug, the South Dakota Film Community page. Because if you want to join in the conversation, have weird conversations about movies, something you watched recently, whatever it is, join the Facebook group. Let's chat movies. I don't know if you guys can plug it
It's
yourself.
like you practiced that a couple times.
I've done that a time or so.
Perfect. Well, hey, thank you very much for everybody who joined us in the live audience as well.
What about
Really
Blake?
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Very much so.
Yeah, it makes all their work well worth it, you guys. But make sure to subscribe and listen to their podcast. But Corey's got...
and Blake is on Midwest Cinephile on.
I started an Instagram account where I just review
Yeah.
movies, and it's Midwest Cinephile. I review every movie I watch.
He's much better at it than I am, and much more consistent.
I wouldn't say that, but
We need to go after the
appreciate
horror
it.
guy, though.
Casey has one too.
Casey the Horror Guy on Instagram.
Yeah.
In like a month, he's already surpassed both of us.
Anyway, let's
All right. Well,
wrap this thing up.
Wrap this thing up. Well, thanks again, you guys, for joining. Make sure to subscribe and listen. Make sure to listen up for the Killer Countdown that you guys put out about two or three episodes a week on Backlot 605.
2 to 3 a week. What are you trying to make us do? two a month.
Two a month. I'm sorry. But it seems like you guys are cranking them out here pretty quick. So it's been awesome to see for you guys. Really, really happy to be a part of this as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. For Backlot, for Fat Dude Digs Flicks, for Somewhat Random Movie Collection, my name is Charlie Eccles, and we're signing off.